Chapter 2140. Slowly raising his chin, Sui used his spiritual sense to look around. One of the auras was even more familiar. Rikkamon and Gongyang family are here too. Suyi's lips curled up. Secretly, a sound wave passed into Suyi's ears. Rikkamon and young Master Mansion's people split up. We must find that old man before the Peerless Archery Team and Moon Jade Valley's people. But that's someone that even the Yun family won't touch. A voice rang out, obviously unwilling. Cut the crap. If you don't find him, Senior Brother Xing Yu will kill you right now. Boom boom. Sui smiled knowingly, his eyes glinting as he said, Young Master's mansion. I'll make your young master suffer. After telling Wang Shanwu to cultivate alone for now, Sui quickly left the waterfall. In a certain dense forest, Sui had his hands behind his back. The thick and profound primordial chaos supreme technique erupted with a loud rumble. Behind him stood a cute, big-eyed boy. This was the informant that Sui found after leaving the pit last night. With the Origin Supreme technique, how could he not find the spiritual grass lord to help him? In terms of finding people, Sui was much better than Yu Ning, and the others. Little Wolf Fairy, have you found the spiritual grass lord? Sui asked coldly. Looking at Sui solemnly, Little Wolf Fairy opened his arms and said, I've asked clearly. In 2 days I've contacted all the beasts in the 9 mountains. It's said that the spiritual grass lord is very smart and has countless caves. But it's said that his cultivation has improved recently. And every time he improves, the old man will hide in a remote mountain and cultivate alone. Then where do you think is the most likely place? Sui raised his eyebrows and a domineering aura burst out. Looking at the aura that was like a demon venerable sweeping over, Little Wolf Immortal's throat moved slightly. He did not dare to hide anything and said, Eastern Mountain Realm. When Little Wolf Fairy raised his head again, Sui had already disappeared. Looking at the empty sky, Little Wolf Fairy wiped his forehead, and large beads of sweat quickly dripped down his forehead. Oh my God! When did such a terrifying guy come to the ancient sect? He has such a terrifying demonic aura. I'm afraid the ancient sect won't be peaceful. As soon as he finished speaking, Sui, who had heard the news, was already flying towards the Eastern Mountain Realm. The Eastern Mountain World was at the edge of the ancient sect. The terrain was complicated and there were many caves. Therefore, it was the weakest place among the 9 families. Dongfang Yuan's Dongfang family had lived there. When Sui arrived at the border, he realized that there were very few people around. There were no birds or beasts around. It was indeed a place suitable for grass spirits to absorb the energy of heaven and earth and break through. Even though the spiritual chi here was weaker, it was not a disadvantage compared to being disturbed during a breakthrough. At this time, the spiritual grass lord's shrewdness was immediately revealed. No one would have thought that the spiritual grass lord would choose such a remote place. Along the way, Sui kept suppressing his aura and increased his speed to the maximum. Soon, he reached the Eastern Mountain World. As far as the eye could see, there was an endless mountain range. At this time, an aura came from behind him. Boom! Without thinking, Sui immediately used Cloud Shadow Treading Frost to hide himself. In his eyes, a familiar figure flew across the sky and slowly landed on the ground. This is the only place I haven't searched. I can only take a gamble. It was Yu Ning. Looking around, Yu Ning's face was slightly pale. As if holding on to her last hope, she prepared to enter the Eastern Mountain World. In the blink of an eye, before Yu Ning could even move, a dozen auras appeared behind her, glaring at her like a tiger eyeing its prey. Senior Sister Yu Ning, don't look anymore. They were the people from Rikkamon and young Master's mansion. Yu Ning frowned and said, What a bunch of bugs! I can't get rid of them. Whoosh! At this time, in the Eastern Mountain World, a wild and unruly young man with a fiery red axe led a dozen other young men over. Senior Sister Yu Ning, don't worry. Fire Lotus Gang, Dongfang Yuan is here. His red hair fluttered in the wind and the young man's rough face showed a strong murderous intent. The 10th on the cloud list, Dongfang Yuan. Su Yi stood in the distance and raised his eyes. The fiery red young man stood on the ground and looked around. He then said, "This is my eastern mountain world. Everyone who has not come for thousands of years is here today. Without my invitation, none of you are allowed to step in." Hearing this, the people from Rickamon and young master's mansion sneered and waved their hands. "I was wondering who it was. Dongfang Yuan, you piece of trash. How dare you touch senior brother Gong Yang's things? So what if you are from the eastern mountain world? I'm going to barge in today. How dare you?" Bang! A fiery red axe light suddenly exploded above the ground, and the barren land cracked open a gully, and the blazing high temperature made the eyes of all the people present suddenly shake. "I'll give you a chance. I'll let you repeat what you just said." Dongfang Yuan, who was like a little bull, stared angrily and his fighting spirit was instantly ignited. Then, Dongfang Yuan said to Yu Ning-er, who was behind him, "Sister Ning-er, I know why you're here. I'll hold them off. Go in now." Yu Ning-er looked at Dongfang Yuan worriedly. Although Dongfang Yuan had the strength of a level 3 origin grandmaster, he was not afraid of dealing with the minions before him. If Lu Linxian and Ram Star Plume were here, Dongfang Yuan's Fire Lotus Gang would be in big trouble. "Sister Ning-er, we're here. Go in now." At the same time, more than 20 female voices were heard from the sky. The girls shouted in unison with extraordinary power. Shintu Shuang stood at the front with a solemn expression. The people from the Lu Men and the young master mansion all raised their heads to look. Bright arrows were aimed at them. On the other side of the sky, the people from Yu Yao mansion were like fairies, holding their flutes to their mouth. Their eyes were cold as they waited for orders. The people from Lu mansion and young master mansion were shocked, their faces full of vigilance and alertness. Boom! Go! I, Lu Linxian, am here. What are you afraid of? Disciples of Rickamon, listen up. Charge! In the sky, a white whirlwind swept over like a ferocious beast. The terrifying soul energy immediately stirred up the atmosphere. It was the commander of Rickamon, Lu Linxian. Is this guy a rabbit? He's so fast. Su Yi raised his eyebrows and looked at the situation through the ice crystals. His eyes were bright. Seeing Lu Linxian fly over, the people from Bai Mansion and Young Master Mansion were extremely excited, their faces flushed red. Everyone seemed to have found a backbone. They no longer delayed the origin chi in their hands as they stepped into the sky and fought with the people from Yu Yao Valley and Peerless Arrow Team. What they came to snatch is naturally my snow smoke essence root. Suddenly, Su Yi's mouth flashed with a trace of surprise. His eyes lit up. He moved closer to the honorable grass spirit and observed its bark-like skin. A green light flashed in its eyes. It was quite strange. "You are the snow smoke essence root?" Su Yi said softly. The honorable grass spirit's mouth twitched uncontrollably under the immense pressure of the soul. It stared at Su Yi with a fiery gaze and trembled. It nodded fearfully. "I'll give you a choice. Give me your snow smoke essence root," Su Yi said quickly. Suddenly, the honorable grass spirit's expression changed. It did not expect Su Yi to also want the snow smoke essence root. It looked up and stared at Su Yi. A surge of anger surged up. It swore to die and said, "No. Today is the day of my breakthrough. If you stop me and forcefully take my snow smoke essence root, I will fight you to the death even if you are a demon lord. I'll be alive too." Looking at the honorable grass spirit's expression, Su Yi smiled and took out a bottle of spiritual liquid. He shook the bottle cap. "I won't let you take it for free. This thing is not inferior to your snow smoke essence root. You can consider whether you want to trade or not." When Su Yi took out the spiritual liquid, the Honorable Grass Spirit's expression changed. Its wrinkled nose gently inhaled the mysterious demonic aura that drifted out. Its expression twitched, and it could not take its eyes off the liquid. After thinking for a while, the Honorable Grass Spirit's eyes turned. It revealed a mouthful of dirty yellow teeth and shouted, "No!" "Sure, give me 3 bottles if you want. Otherwise, I'll shout loudly to lure them in. Otherwise, I'll kill myself here." Then, the Honorable Grass Spirit's beard swept and he looked away. Suddenly, Sue was furious. The anger in his eyes flickered and the fierce aura around him almost pushed the cave open. 3 bottles of spiritual liquid. Sue thought he heard wrong. A bottle of spiritual liquid would be worth a fortune in the black market. Were all herb-type demonic beasts this shrewd? The blood jasper ginseng was the same. If it had not stayed in the mysterious space for so many years and developed feelings for it, he would not have been able to get anything out of it before they parted. Outside the cave, the explosion of spiritual chi continued to surge in. The low sound of the explosion caused the cave to tremble. The Honorable Grass Spirit's eyes trembled. It looked at Sue coldly and urged, "Hurry up and decide. 1 bottle is too little." Looking at the Honorable Grass Spirit's anxious look, Sue's lips curled. As expected, the Honorable Grass Spirit was the more anxious one. 2 bottles, that's all I can do. Other than the snow smoke essence root, you have to give me one of your stalks. Taking advantage of a burning house had always been Sue's specialty. As for why he wanted 1 more stalk, Chi Feihong in his mind seemed to already know. He stroked his beard and laughed. Boom! The Honorable Grass Spirit's face was filled with helplessness. It said angrily in a low voice, "Despicable human! I admit defeat. Give me the thing, I have to go now." After a few breaths, Sue confirmed that the Honorable Grass Spirit had indeed given him the snow smoke essence root. The Honorable Grass Spirit snatched the bottle of spiritual liquid and escaped into the mountain. "This guy sure runs fast. I have to go too." The ripples on the wall stopped. Sue looked outside and saw that the sounds of fighting had died down. Without the mountain-piercing technique, he could only choose to pass through the 2 people. There was no time to put the snow smoke essence root into the mysterious space. Sue stuffed it into a space bag and immediately swallowed a shadow shuttle pill. The pills given by Shangguan Tianxin are really useful. Sue smiled and retracted his aura. Following that, Sue's eyes lit up. Cloud Shadow Frost steps surged out from his feet and he headed towards the cave entrance. After exiting the cave, the battle between Yuning and Ram Star Plume was coming to an end. Standing on the ground, Sue's eyes fell on Yuning. The 2 of them flashed across the sky. Boom! Every attack was like a meteor crashing into the sky. Thunderous explosions could be heard in the sky. Chapter 2142. In the sky, 2 blurry figures, one red and one white, were clashing with each other under the white halo. As the sound waves from the white flute became shorter and shorter, Yuning-er's figure was pushed back until she was close to the ground. Yuning-er let out a hurried breath. Sue's gaze flickered as he knew that Yuning-er would not be able to hold on any longer. In the midst of the intense battle, Ram Star Plume also saw that Yuning-er's vitality was starting to weaken. He laughed maniacally in the sky and suddenly grasped the opportunity. Both his legs were filled with vitality as his figure rapidly pounced down. TSK. TSK. The fan drew a line in the sky and amidst the strange silver-white light, Ram Star Plume's figure seemed to have disappeared. Immediately after, a huge white folding fan flew across the sky. In an instant, the fan's shadow covered the sky and covered the earth as it enveloped Yuning-er's location. The fan's shadow was boundless like a half-moon. Terrifying soul energy poured out from the light. If one stared at it for too long, one's soul would also tremble. Bang! Yuning-er, who had already landed on the ground, suddenly had a change in expression. After taking a deep breath, the flute once again shot out a few terrifying sound waves. However, compared to before, the power was much weaker. A 7th-level origin ancestor was actually being suppressed by a 6th-level origin ancestor. Such a scene was enough to shock anyone on the spot. Boom! The terrifying fan shadow continued to expand in front of Yu Ning. The white arc of light instantly filled the entire space, and was only a few inches away from Yu Ning-er's face. Bang! Seeing the snow-white fan shadow wreaking havoc, the shocked Yu Ning-er no longer had the strength to turn the situation around. Her gaze was cold and despairing. Facing the boundless energy ripples that were wreaking havoc, Yu Ning-er gradually closed her eyes. Sigh, whatever. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Behind Yu Ning-er, a deep and magnetic male voice sounded. In the blink of an eye, a faint blue crystal flashed across the sky, and Su-yi moved behind Yu Ning-er like a ghost. Don't move. I'll help you. Su-yi's eyes flickered as a tyrannical 4th-level origin ancestor aura shot out. With the ice crystal as a cover, Su-yi, who was behind Yu Ning-er, fluttered his sleeves. In an instant, a ferocious dragon roar surged from Su-yi's body. At this moment, Su-yi chose to use Golden Dragon's pressure Yu Ning-er. His right hand pushed Yu Ning-er's back while his left hand held Yu Ning-er's jade-like soft hand and pushed her forward. The terrified Yu Ning-er suddenly opened her eyes. She only felt a masculine aura unique to men enter her nose. She didn't have time to think. Yu Ning's Yu-er's Yu Ning Yu, Yu Yu Yu, Yu Yu Yu, Yu 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 Yu. The combination of the chaotic origin supreme technique and the Golden Dragon's might was both domineering and destructive. Buck's fan projections crashed into each other in the air. Bang! Ram's star plume frowned when he saw that something was amiss. He quickly retreated. As soon as he retreated, a destructive shock wave wreaked havoc in the sky. In midair, the surrounding barren hills suddenly split apart, and the towering peaks were also swept away. Some of the soft areas were even directly flattened to the ground. The continuous fire energy spread for hundreds of miles. The sonic boom sounded as if the sky was going to explode. A huge soul pressure filled every corner of the sky, causing one's heart to palpitate. No one knew how shocked Ram's star plume was. He was very clear about Yu Ning-er's strength. The Dark Shadow Soul Annihilation was one of his killing moves. If he used his full strength, it was enough to contend with an 8th-level origin ancestor. As for the severity of Yu Ning-er's injuries, he was well aware of them. Even if she wasn't injured, it wouldn't be easy for her to block it so easily. Yu Ning-er's sudden burst of strength made Ram's star plume, who was high above, feel guilty. His gaze turned solemn as he took a deep breath. Holding his fan tightly, Ram's star plume's expression changed. A trace of coldness flashed through his narrowed eyes. The trembling of his hands indicated that Ram's star plume had suffered heavy injuries. His origin chi was scattered, and there was a fishy taste in his throat. Whoosh! Below, Yu Ning-er put down her flute. Her body was stiff, and she didn't dare to move. The violent energy in front of her was still wreaking havoc like a flood. Two cold gazes looked at each other in the sky. At this time, neither Ram's star plume nor Yu Ning-er would act rashly. The mistake of either side could lead to a landslide defeat. After a long while, Ram's star plume looked at Yu Ning-er and shook his head. Immediately, he closed his fan and raised it slightly. A cold laugh came from Ram's star plume. It's the Yu family. Ning-er, you always leave a way out for yourself. No matter if you have the help of an expert or some secret treasure, once you marry me, you will be mine. Today, I will wait for you in this desperate situation. Immediately, a white light flashed and the fan gently waved in the air. A huge rebound force threw Ram's star plume into the air, turning it into specks of light. Yu Ning-er, who was still frozen in place, was already sweating profusely. She didn't dare to look away and whispered, "Senior, thank you for saving me. Senior, please show yourself." Whoosh whoosh. Sparkling cold sweat quietly slid down her cheek. After a few breaths, there was still no movement. Yuning recovered some of her origin chi. She suddenly turned her head, but there was only a fierce aura in the ruins. There was no trace of Sui. He left so quickly? Looking at the empty ground, Yuning couldn't help but be stunned. In the distance, on the flattened hillside, several figures rushed over. It was Shintu Shuangshuang, Dongfang Yuan and the others who had just finished the battle. Sister Ning-er, are you okay? Seeing Yu Ning-er's figure, everyone quickly came to her side. Looking at the turbulent wind and clouds in the sky, and the violent energy ripples still remaining, everyone was shocked. This was the situation of the top 3 on the cloud list fighting? It was a little too terrifying. But seeing that Yu Ning-er didn't show any signs of injury, Shintu Shuangshuang, Dongfang Yuan and the others looked at each other, and their shock was indescribable. It seems that Ram's star plume has left. Dongfang Yuan took a deep breath and looked at the empty ruins with burning eyes. Sister Ning-er Gong Yang has left. What are you waiting for? Shintu Shuangshuang waved her hand in front of Yu Ning. Suddenly, Yu Ning-er's daze attracted everyone's attention. Yu Ning looked at everyone and said embarrassedly, Ram's star plume is also injured. How are you guys? Lu Linxian, that guy, ran away when he saw that the situation wasn't right. 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. The next time I see him, I'll beat him up. Dongfang Yuan raised his chin and said vehemently. Yu Ning-er nodded her head, and her expression was still immersed in the matter just now. She said softly, That's good. Ram Star Plume and I are both injured. He shouldn't come and bother us anymore. I'm going back too. Chapter 2143. Aren't we going to look for Elder Grass Spirit? Shintu Shuangshuang looked at Yu Ning-er doubtfully. Yu Ning-er smiled bitterly and shook her head. She explained to everyone, every time Elder Grass Spirit breaks through, his essence root will grow again. Even if we find him now, his essence root will not have enough spiritual chi. It's useless to give it to me. Hearing this, Shintu Shuangshuang and the others frowned and curled their lips. The Yu family and Yu Ning-er could not afford to lose this desperate situation. If they could not treat the hidden danger, it would be troublesome. After a while, Yu Ning-er looked around and waved her sleeves. A fragrant wind blew over. Let's go. Prepare for the desperate situation. Life and death are predestined. Everyone nodded. When it was time to leave, Dongfang Yuan cupped his hands and said, Sisters, please leave first. This place has been destroyed. I will clean up the mess here. Otherwise, the elders in the family will blame me. Brother Yuan, thank you for your hard work. Yu Ning-er sighed. She had caused such a big trouble this time. The entire ancient sect would know about it. The master of the Moon Jade Valley had gone to the Yun family and Dongfang family's mountain boundary and ordered the Peerless Arrow Team and the Moon Jade Valley to search the ancient sect. It was to find Elder Grass Spirit and escape from the marriage agreement with the Gong Yang family. This matter would definitely be known by everyone. When she returned to the Yu family, she would naturally be punished. Fortunately, there were no big consequences. Facing Ram Starplume's evil hand, Yu Ning-er did not suffer any losses. Thinking about it, Yu Ning-er's thoughts were pulled back to the scene just now. Who was the person who helped her just now? Judging from his spiritual chi, it was obviously not anyone of the 9 families. When did such an outer sect expert come to the Cloud Immortal Ancient Sect? On the way back, Yu Ning-er did not say a word. Shintu Shuangshuang, who was beside her, could not help but ask, Sister Ning-er, why are you so distracted? No, nothing. Yu Ning-er pulled her hair back. Thinking about the man who was so close to her, her cheeks immediately turned red. Then Yu Ning-er changed the topic and stopped talking about Elder Grass Spirit. When they reached a mountain peak, Yu Ning-er smiled. Sister Shuangshuang, I'll see you in the desperate situation. For the remaining few days, I will be in seclusion to recuperate. If the Gongyang family and Lu family come looking for trouble in the Moon Jade Valley, I can only ask you to help me deal with them. On the other side, Ram Star Plume had already returned to the young master's mansion because of Yu Ning-er's strange attack. No matter how he thought about it, he could not figure out how Yu Ning-er, who was already on the verge of collapse, was able to block his attack. Ram Star Plume returned to the young master's residence with an ashen face. His expression was gloomy and he was furious. Even when the people from Rickamon came to request an audience, he refused to see them. In Rickamon, the atmosphere was similarly gloomy. Lu Linxian, who had a malicious look in his eyes, heavily smashed the teacup in his hand onto the ground. The sound of the explosion caused the hearts of the disciples outside the door to palpitate and their eyes to be filled with fear. Damn it! This time, he had fallen into Shintu Shuang's trap. Ram Star Plume, that bastard, came back and didn't even see me. He really suffered a loss. Lu Linxian gritted his teeth and slammed his palm on the table. At this time, Lu Xian and Lu Yi also came back from outside. Seeing Lu Linxuan's appearance, they immediately understood. "Senior brother, why are you so angry?" Lu Xian laughed. "Originally, when I helped Ram Star Plume find the grass spirit, he agreed to form an alliance with me in a desperate situation. Now that the alliance has not been formed, he suffered a lot. How can I not be angry?" Lu Linxian glared at the two and said in a muffled voice. Lu Xian and Lu Yi looked at each other. A trace of craftiness flashed in their eyes. The two of them sat down. "Senior brother, Ram Star Plume suffered a loss at the hands of Yu Ning. Do you know how he suffered a loss?" Lu Xian asked. Lu Linxian slowly raised his head. He knew that these two guys would not ask stupid questions, so he said directly, "If you have something to say, say it." Lu Yi raised his eyebrows and sneered. "I won't say how he suffered a loss, but I heard from people in Rickamon and the young master's mansion that they saw Wang Shangwu cultivating at Flowing Cloud Waterfall. That Sui was not there?" Hearing this, the surrounding atmosphere instantly froze. Lu Linxian thoughtfully touched his chin and said in a deep voice, "Could it be that Sui helped Yu Ning-er? So, in the end, he found the grass spirit?" Lu Xian and Lu Yi followed Lu Linxuan's words and nodded heavily. Then, they said, "If that's the case, we will reveal this information. Do you think Ram Star Plume will not cooperate? When the time comes, we will be the ones to reap the benefits." Then, in Rickamon, the three of them sneered and laughed hysterically. A few jackdaws on the roof flapped their wings and flew away, making whimpering sounds. The next 3 days were calm and peaceful. In the ancient sect, the chaos caused by the 5 families caused quite a stir. However, due to the internal strife within the inner mansion, there were no serious casualties. Therefore, the elders and seniors of the major families did not talk about it openly. In fact, everyone knew that Yu Ning-er was looking for the grass spirit Venerable in order to escape from Ram Star Plume's engagement. Even if Yu Ning-er had hidden dangers, she still beat Ram Star Plume back to the young master's mansion. Although this matter made the Yu family angry on the surface, they were happy in their hearts. As the second most powerful force in the ancient sect, no one was willing to be forced like this. The angriest one was still Ram Star Plume. In the young master's mansion, there were 3 consecutive days of anger. Su-yi, on the other hand, was leading Wang Shangwu around the ancient sect. He was the biggest winner of this battle. He did not care about what happened in the ancient sect. During the day, he still took Wang Shangwu to cultivate. He also cultivated with him, preparing for the dire straits of the Black Sea. At night, he returned to the straw hut and carefully took care of everything in the mysterious space. Su-yi also carefully planted the snow tobacco and vein-opening vines in the medicine field. In this mysterious space, the spiritual energy was dense and could bring out the best of the medicinal properties. After being nourished by the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, it could change the medicinal properties of heaven and earth. In the mysterious space, Su Yi was holding the root of the grass spirit venerable with a smile. This was the other root besides the essence root. Qi Feihong looked at the snow tobacco root in Su Yi's hand and smiled. Ready to give it to the girl from the Yu family? Su Yi's palm gently brushed the surface of the snow tobacco. A dense light slowly appeared and the medicinal properties rushed to the nose. If it wasn't for this thing restricting Yuning air, would the second most powerful Yu family listen to Gong Yang? In a desperate situation, this thing could be a treasure to solve problems. Su Yi smiled. Yes, there's no harm in having one more friend. Moreover, that girl owes you a favor. Who knows, she might take the initiative to help you. Qi Feihong floated around and kept fiddling with the herbs in the medicine field. Ever since Qi Feihong entered the mysterious space, he had been helping Su Yi to take care of the medicine field. Under his hard work, the medicinal field was 3 acres wide and full of medicinal herbs. The spiritual energy was moving and the medicinal fragrance was wanton. Just by cultivating here, the benefits were not small. Chapter 2144. Based on the conversation between Dongfang Yuan and them, Yuning and Shintu Shuang should be Jing Er's friends. I hope they won't make things difficult for me after knowing my identity. Su Yi frowned. Immediately, Su Yi noticed that Qi Feihong's brows were tightly knitted, and his serious expression gradually turned into surprise. Su Yi was a little confused. In the next second, Qi Feihong excitedly called Su Yi over. In the medicinal field, there was a huge branch with lush green leaves. It was like jade blooming with vitality. Standing a little further away, one could feel the exuberant vitality in the leaf. The 9 orifices returned to sun leaf has finally matured. Qi Feihong's lips curled up as if he was looking at a harvest. To him, who was also a soul body, Qi Feihong also needed the 9 orifices returned to sun leaf. The maturation of the return to sun leaf meant that one of the 3 treasures, the moon devour Bodhi-gu, would be at his fingertip. As he spoke, Qi Feihong pulled a sparkling green leaf from the root and put it in Su Yi's hand. From today onwards, carry this leaf with you. If there is any movement from the moon devour Bodhi-gu, it will lead the way for you. Su Yi looked at the green leaf in his hand, his eyes shining with excitement. Qianxue, Master, I can finally do what I promised you. Su Yi's heart was burning with a flame. He turned around and looked at Wang Shangu, who was already soaking in the spiritual pool. Su Yi knew that what he wanted to do was approaching step by step. The next day, in front of the thatched hut, in the sky above the inky blue ancient sect, a thin golden light broke through the clouds and arrived. The moment the golden light melted into the mountains and seas, it quickly spread out. Immediately, the entire horizon became as bright as a beautiful piece of silk, and multicolored light spread out for thousands of miles. On the high slope, Su Yi looked at the rising red sun. He had already put on his disguise again. Before meeting Yun Zhongli, Su Yi didn't want to expose his identity so easily. As for Wang Shangu, Su Yi naturally told him in advance not to call him Su Yi anymore. At this time, Wang Shangu walked up the high slope with heavy step. He stood side by side with Su Yi and looked at the open mountains. Wan will also come today. I can finally see Wan Wang Shangu smiled. His sincere smile was as warm as the warm sun. Thinking that he had held on for so long and finally, he could hand over Su Wan to Su Yi's hands, Wang let out a heavy sigh of relief, was relieved. Wang. That's right. I wonder what that girl will look like after Heavenly Wind. Su Yi smiled, his eyes filled with anticipation. Deep in the sky, a white dot of light was approaching. Upon closer inspection, it was Lu Ti's gale white jade condor. Shang Wu. On the back of the bird, Lu Ti waved his hands. Mu Renjie was also excited. Soon, Lu Ti and Mu Renjie controlled the white jade condor. They landed in the air like a gust of wind. Both of them looked at Wang Shangu. Su Yi, the results of your special training are gratifying. Lu Ti kept probing Wang Shangwu's soul aura. Suddenly, a violent and domineering soul energy repelled his probing. Wang Shangwu's aura was like a mighty and unyielding god of war. He was guarding his territory and wouldn't allow anyone to tarnish it. Wang Shangwu chuckled and said in a clear voice, "I'm afraid you don't know how much I've suffered in the past few days." On the side, Mu Renjie was full of envy. He said bluntly, "Su Yi, if I had known earlier, I would have let you train with me." After knowing Su Yi's identity, Su Yi's various methods had convinced this martial arts fanatic. Looking at the faint blood aura on Mu Renjie's body, Su Yi knew that the training in the arena these past few days must have been frightening and thrilling. "Renjie, you've also improved a lot." Su Yi nodded his head in admiration. "Good job, even in a desperate situation." Mu Renjie smiled embarrassedly. He proudly told Su Yi that his experience in the arena these past few days had made him see the gap between the Limitless sect and the Yun family. And in the arena, he had a deeper understanding of the Yun family's disciples and the 9 surnames. "Good. In this desperate situation, I'll leave the intelligence work to you. In this desperate situation, we must take first place." Su Yi's eyes darkened, and a domineering aura flowed out. Then, the 4 of them stepped on the white jade condor and headed toward the inner mansion. Along the way, Mu Renjie and Lu Ti asked Su Yi about the rumors that had been spreading in the inner mansion these past few days. Su Yi only told them a few things. After listening, Lu Ti couldn't help but be surprised. He said softly, "Wow! If Ram Star Plume knew, he would probably hate you to death. You did that kind of thing yourself. Are you afraid of others knowing?" Wang Shangwu rolled his eyes. Hearing this, Su Yi nodded and said in a low voice, "If necessary, I won't let any of these people go." Soon, they arrived at the inner mansion. The gate of the inner mansion was covered in clouds. After carefully pushing it open, it was another world. The rules of space here were complicated. Outer mansion disciples were not allowed to ride in, so Su Yi, Lu Ti, and the others got off the white jade condor early and walked forward. In front of them was a large courtyard surrounded by cloud walls. It was extraordinary. Their eyes followed the path forward. A cloud ladder that went straight to the sky instantly attracted the attention of Su Yi and the others. Looking at the cloud ladder that looked like a white tornado, Lu Ti introduced it to Su Yi with a smile. "When you on, this is the cloud ladder. The end of the ladder is the rising cloud palace. This is the entrance to the despairs of the dark sea." Facing Lu Ti's direction, Su Yi slowly raised his eyes. High in the sky, there were many jade palaces connected together. It was very imposing. The magnificent white jade palaces seemed to grow in the clouds, making people feel awe. The ancient Cloud Immortal sect is worthy of the name Cloud Immortal. Su Yi did not smile. If the Bawang sect had such courage, the Long family would not be a threat. Near the cloud ladder, 2 inner mansion disciples nodded to Lu Ti and said coldly, "Deacon Lu Ti, is this the team you brought from the outside?" Lu Ti nodded and introduced Su Yi and the others to the 2 inner mansion disciples. Su Yi naturally showed up as Wen Yuan. "Outer mansion disciples who are not from the sect, you should first take the cloud ladder to prove your cultivation." One of the disciples looked at the 3 with disdain. Su Yi frowned and turned to Wang Shangwu. He asked, "There is such a rule?" Wang Shangwu nodded. It turned out that everyone who could enter the inner mansion from the outer mansion had to take the test of the cloud ladder. Especially on a big day like today, the cloud ladder was even stricter for those who entered the inner mansion. If the cloud ladder felt that you were not qualified to enter the despairs of the dark sea, you would be abandoned. Wang Shangwu did not know that outer mansion disciples like the 3 of them had to follow the rules. "How can this ladder judge my level?" Su Yi's face was solemn. He suddenly thought of the grand competition of the sacred mountain, where he was looked down upon and humiliated. Su Yi was instantly angry. Every time he lived or died, he had to be judged by the outside world. If he gave in like this, how could he have come to this point? Chapter 2145. Moreover, if he went up the cloud ladder and Wang Shangwu couldn't, wouldn't all his previous efforts be in vain? At this time, a disciple walked up and looked at Su Yi. He said coldly, "Boy, were you questioning the cloud ladder?" Su Yi sneered and looked at the cloud ladder. His face darkened and he said, "People are alive and things are dead. How can you judge a person's success or failure based on its likes and dislikes? You said I can, so I can? You said I can't, so I can't? Yeah, if you can't pass the cloud ladder, wouldn't our trip be in vain?" Mu Renjie, who was standing at the back, said lightly, "What a joke. Trash who can't even pass the cloud ladder is a gift from the ancient sect. What else do you want?" Another disciple stabbed the long spear in his hand into the ground, and a fierce energy burst out. His eyes were filled with killing intent. "Little brother, we just feel that something is wrong. After all, the cloud ladder is only for outer sect disciples. Wouldn't it be a pity if our outer sect disciples were disqualified?" Seeing the situation suddenly tense, Lu Ti hurried to ease the tension. At this time, Wang Shangwu also came valiantly. He bowed to the gatekeeper and said, "Senior brothers, what Master Lu Ti said is not without reason. We are the only outer sect team this time. Can you report to the sect and make an exception?" Bang! A tyrannical airwave shot out from the gatekeeper's body, and a cold, killing intent surrounded him. The gatekeeper pointed his long spear at Wang Shangwu and said, "Cut the crap! Who is your senior brother? Is it your turn to speak here? A trash who can't even enter the outer sect wants to participate in the despairs of the Dark Sea? If you can, then go in. If you can't, then get out." Suddenly, Wang Shangwu's cold eyes looked at the tip of the spear in front of his throat and his eyes darkened. Behind him, Su Yi's face was filled with killing intent. He said slowly, "I'll give you 3 seconds to put down the spear and apologize for what you said." Bang! Bang! Su Yi's body also quickly gathered a surging wave of energy. Although it was somewhat suppressed, it still caused everyone present to tremble in fear. So strong. The eyes of the 2 gatekeeping disciples narrowed. They immediately circulated their yuan qi to disperse the fierce pressure. Seeing that the matter was about to escalate, the people who were continuously entering the escalator gathered together. Wasn't this Wang Shangwu, who was always by Su Wan'er's side? Why is he participating in the desperation of the Black Sea? Oh, it looks like he's fighting with the gatekeeper. A piece of trash. You think you can strut around here just because you found 2 outsiders? Wishful thinking. Looks like I didn't beat him up enough. I think these 3 people are just afraid that they won't be able to enter, so they are causing trouble here. The outer palace disciples that were gathered together were gesticulating as they discussed in low voices towards Su Yi and Wang Shangwu's group of 3, and ridicule and abuse never stopped. "Brat, if you want to cause trouble, I advise you to look around. This is the inner palace." The gatekeeper disciple's mouth curled up as his attitude became more tyrannical. He completely ignored Lu Ti, who was only a deacon, and his eyes were fierce. The constant ridicule around him, as well as the ridicule from the disciples, made Su Yi immediately understand how Wang Shangwu had survived these few years. The phrase "snobs look down on others" was referring to these people. So what if they were commoners? So what if they were outer palace disciples? Did they deserve to be looked down upon by these inner palace disciples? Looking at the outer palace disciples who were insulting him, Su Yi shook his head. These people who couldn't enter the inner palace had their reasons after all. If even his own people looked down on his own people, who else would look down on him? Su Yi wouldn't go up the ladder. Even if he did, it wouldn't be enough to establish his authority, and it wouldn't be enough to wash away the humiliation in Wang Shangwu's heart. Su Yi sized up the two gatekeeper disciples in front of him. Their cultivation was at the peak of the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Obviously, the ancient Cloud Immortal sect had specially dispatched young experts for today's desperate situation. Su Yi slowly said such a sentence. Then if I beat you down, does that mean I can go up? Suddenly, the outer palace disciples and onlookers were stunned. Even Lu Ti's mouth was wide open. What? Su Yi wanted to challenge the inner palace disciples? The two gatekeepers represented the face of the inner palace. If he won, not only would he be qualified to enter, but he would also bring down the inner palace's face. Ha 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 ha. The two gatekeeper disciples looked at the unknown Su Yi with a trace of ridicule in their eyes. It was as if they were pitying the lowliest ant. They said, "Who are you? Just by you?" Su Yi stared at the gatekeeper disciples without fear. His deep eyes emitted a domineering radiance, which made the two disciples' hearts skip a beat. Their momentum suddenly changed. Just by the fact that I am Wang Shangwu's brother. Today, I will make you pay for what he has suffered. Su Yi's voice was deep and powerful. Su Yi's words were like a declaration of revenge. Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air. This ordinary-looking young man in ordinary clothes spoke with a powerful voice, as if he was a peerless tyrant who could guide the world. 1 yuan. Wang Shangwu's eyes were red. A strong domineering aura shot out from Su Yi. A crazy fighting spirit surged like a long river. The domineering aura emanating from his body made the surrounding crowd feel the domineering aura that only a supreme being expert could possess. Is he really Wang Shangwu's brother? What a strong soul energy. What is his cultivation? No way. Wang Shangwu beside him has also become a little different. Shocked gazes moved from Su Yi to the two gatekeeper disciples. The two disciples who did not show any weakness immediately released their aura. They knew that if they did not accept the challenge, they would lose face for the inner palace. Brat, you asked for it. One of the gatekeeper disciples said fiercely. After saying that, a fierce killing intent shot out. The silver long spear was placed in front of him. A vigorous yuan qi wave instantly pushed the crowd away. A semicircle of empty space was created. Only Su Yi, Wang Shangwu, Mu Renjie and the two gatekeeper disciples were left in the middle. Everyone stopped. A bright girl flew through the sky and suppressed the crowd. GG. Behind her, 3 fierce white-winged griffins rushed over. They raised their heads and roared. Slightly flapping their wings, they landed on the ground. Senior Sister Yuning It's Senior Sister Yuning and Senior Sister Shuang Shuang. Wow. It's the peerless archery team and the Moon Jade Valley. Everyone's attention was immediately attracted by the beautiful scenery on the 3 griffins. Every girl was graceful and elegant. It was as if they were stepping on the clouds. It could be seen that as long as it was a male animal, their gazes would be replaced by the beautiful scenery. Fanaticism and passion had already occupied their hearts. The sound of swallowing was ear-piercing. Wait. A clear and cold voice came from the griffins. Yuning brought Shin to Shuang Shuang and the others to the semicircle of battle. Chapter 2146. As the Pearl of the Yu family, when a fairy approached, the outer palace disciples were all respectful. However, their fiery emotions were quickly cooled by this fairy's appearance, and they quickly made way. Seeing Yuning bring people over, the faces of the 2 guarding disciples changed. They leaned forward and said softly, "Senior Ning Yuning looked around and saw the situation. Then, her gaze landed on Wang Shangwu, and she glanced at Su Yi. Su Yi's gaze was cold. He had seen too many of such scenes. What goddess? What goddess? Compared to what he had experienced, it was nothing. How could she be like these people and easily express her admiration? However, Yuning wandering gaze made Su Yi's heart sink. It was said that women were quick-witted. Could it be that this little girl had noticed something? Walking closer to Wang Shangwu, she glanced at the indifferent Su Yi. Yuning could not help but be surprised by this man who did not have any emotions. She said softly, "Shangwu, you're here too." Wang Shangwu smiled. He was no longer the same person as before. His gaze moved slightly as he said softly, "Senior Ning, long time no see." He was neither calm nor indifferent. He did not take the initiative to express goodwill, nor was he humble or afraid. This was out of Yuning-er's expectations. Yuning-er could faintly see that this Wang Shangwu who was bullied by everyone seemed to be different. Yuning-er opened her eyes and looked at Su Yi. She said softly, "Hello, I'm Yuning-er. You must be little brother Shangwu's brother. Because of you, he has changed a lot." Just as she finished speaking, countless jealous gazes were cast on Su Yi. Shintu Shuangshuang and the rest were also puzzled. What happened to Senior Yuning-er today? This goddess who had always been high up in the inner palace was the only fairy in the ancient cloud immortal sect other than Yunjing. Now, she was taking the initiative to greet this outer sect disciple called Wen Yuan? Soon, sighs and exhalations rose and fell, and from time to time, gazes filled with killing intent shot towards Su Yi. Su Yi's face was also filled with helplessness. In his heart, he was even more certain that Yuning-er must have guessed that the aura back then did not belong to an ancient sect. She would definitely lock on to him. Yuning-er was probing to see if it was Su Yi who had saved her. Now that he had taken the initiative to greet him, it was just to verify his identity through his voice. Su Yi faintly felt a little helpless. Now that things had come to this, he did not want to continue pretending. Instead, he took a step forward with his own voice and extended his right hand. A friendly and warm smile appeared at the corner of Su Yi's eyes. His magnetic voice instantly caught Yuning-er's ears. "Hello, I'm Wen Yuan." Suddenly, Yuning-er looked at the jade-like smile in front of her. Her face froze and her lips trembled. Slowly, Yuning-er unconsciously extended her fingertips and held Su Yi's right hand. That warm touch was exactly the same as that night. Looking at Su Yi again, Yuning-er's gaze was no longer calm. She quickly retracted her gaze unnaturally. "Hi. Hello," Yuning-er said softly. This scene immediately stunned everyone present. Even Wang Shangwu, who had just greeted her, was stunned. Shintu Shuangshuang's face was filled with shock. She quickly came over and asked Wang Shangwu what was going on. Yuning-er took the initiative to greet him? Su Yi even held the hand of a goddess? Most importantly, Yuning-er was shy? Just what was going on? In the field, no one could remain calm. It was as if they had seen a ghost. Resentment and jealousy were no longer enough to describe the feelings of the male cultivators present. After a long while, Yuning-er seemed to have recovered. She said to the already stunned disciples in front of her, "Wen Yuan and the others are not outer court disciples. They were invited here. I think there is no need to adhere to the rules of the inner court. If it is not possible, I ask the two of you to go and report before making a decision." Yuning-er once again spoke up for Wen Yuan. It was obvious that she did not want Wen Yuan and Yuning-er to have a dispute. The two disciples were immediately placed in a difficult position. They fiercely glared at Su Yi. Immediately after, they were placed in a difficult position and hesitated. "All of you, get out of my way." At this moment, a unicorn and a wild horse roared at the sky and galloped over from the horizon. Young Master's Mansion's golden-winged black smoke beast and Wu Ma family's wind colt. Rumble. The black smoke accompanied the storm. It was like a ferocious beast that had come to condemn someone. Once again, it scattered the crowd in front of the escalator. On top of the wind colt, a person covered in a robe looked at the situation and coldly said, "Senior brother Gongyang, I'll go in first." After saying that, the wind colt let out a long neigh. Ripples appeared in the surrounding space and rushed up the escalator. Looking at the Wu Ma family's wild and unrestrained appearance, Su Yi naturally frowned. The people of the 9 great surnames were indeed unique. They could ride up. Strength was the only proof in this world. It was even more obvious in the aristocratic families. Senior brother Gong Yang. The 2 disciples looked at the people from the young master's mansion who were slowly approaching. In an instant they were relieved and ecstatic. Senior brother Gong Yang. Everyone present also revealed a solemn expression. The strength of the top 3 in the inner court caused Ram Star Plume to be like a god in the hearts of the outer court disciples. Ram Star Plume glanced at Yuning indifferently. Then, he noticed that she was so close to Sui. Suddenly, he revealed a cold aura. Kid, if you have enough strength, you can also ride up. My Gong Yang family can bear the burden for you. Ram Star Plume sneered and said to Yuning Ning, I didn't think that you would like this type. How interesting. Hearing this, Yuning's eyebrows suddenly raised. She scolded Ram Star Plume, a dog's mouth can't spit out ivory. At this moment, Sui also retracted his gaze from the escalator and turned around to look at Ram Star Plume. After 3 days of recuperation, Ram Star Plume's injuries were almost healed. The Gong Yang family's medical skills are truly amazing. No wonder they have something like snow tobacco. Sui could not help but nod his head at the Gong Yang family's medical skills. What's wrong with that? Everyone has the opportunity to choose. If I can choose not to ride the escalator, she also has the right not to marry you. Retorting Ram Star Plume's words, Suyi's mouth slightly curved up. Suddenly, Yuning seemed to have heard the most resolute words. Her gaze slightly moved as she looked at Wen Yuan, her lips slightly trembling. This young man's words were exactly what she had wanted to say for a long time. Why can't I have a choice? Why can't I be valiant and courageous and say what I think? Kid, who do you think you are talking to? I'll kindly remind you that in the ancient sect, in the inner palace, there are some things that you cannot decide. Ram Star Plume's gaze immediately sank. He glanced at Yuning and the corner of his mouth twitched. Then I'll kindly remind you that I will do what I said. I'll say, she won't marry you, I'll say. You will pay the price for what you have done, you will definitely. Su Yi's words naturally pointed to something. The humiliation that Wang Shangwu had suffered, Ram Star Plume was also a part of it. Chapter 2147. He had to take revenge for this. And he had to make it big. Su Yi wanted to let everyone know what kind of person Yunjing's choice, Wang Shangwu's brother, and Su Wan's brother was. Ram Star Plume sneered. Su Yi's tyrannical strength made Ram Star Plume somewhat surprised. Even though he was showing off, Ram Star Plume did not think that Su Yi would succeed. There was not even a trace of possibility. Immediately, Ram Star Plume looked at Yuning and said politely, Ning, I will soon let you know how stupid your choice was. Brat, Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie do not need to take the test anymore. But since you want to stand out like this, you must accept the test. Ram Star Plume shook the fan in his hand and sneered. Suddenly, Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie's faces froze. Yuning and Shintu Shuang's faces also turned ugly. Ram Star Plume, I said that we should go in and report to the elders before making a decision. Yuning frowned and scolded. Ram Star Plume held his fan in front of him and shook his head. This brat is so arrogant. He clearly looks down on the people of the inner palace. Shouldn't I fight for some face for the ancient sect? Could it be that you have taken a liking to this brat? His words made Yuning speechless. Sui turned his head and smiled, indicating that there was no need to worry. Everyone knew that Ram Star Plume had set his eyes on Sui. Just the fact that Yuning had a good impression of Sui was enough for this ancient sect's third young master to kill Sui 1,000,000 times over. At this moment, the outer palace disciples who were jealous of Sui all revealed strange smiles as if they were watching a good show. With Gong Yang Xingyu supporting everyone, Sui, who had inexplicably become an imaginary enemy, would definitely make a fool of himself. Sigh. Lu Ti walked over to Su Yi's side worriedly and said in a low voice, "When Yuan, don't compete with him. I'll go beg the elders of the Lu family. If it doesn't work, I'll go look for the patriarch." How could this be? Entering the perilous situation is more important. Everything else can wait. Lu Ti's words were naturally heard by Ram Star Plume. The latter shouted, "Lu Ti! You have no right to speak here. I'm one of the top 10 disciples in the inner house, and I'm also the commander of the young master's mansion. Today's desperate situation is unusual. How can you talk nonsense here? You!" Lu Ti was publicly insulted by Ram Star Plume. Wang Shangwu's eyes burned with anger. He clenched his fists but was stopped by Su Yi. "Since young Master Gong Yang has said so, I will go up the cloud-supporting ladder. But I have a request. If someone plays any tricks, I will suffer a loss. I ask young Master Gong Yang to go up with me." Hearing this, Ram Star Plume's proud smile instantly changed. He frowned and stared at Su Yi without saying a word. He was an inner palace disciple, and climbing the cloud-supporting ladder again was not a difficult thing. But he always felt that Su Yi had some tricks up his sleeve. Seeing that Ram Star Plume did not speak, Su Yi looked at the crowd and said, "I will go up the cloud-supporting ladder with you. If we win, the three of us can enter the perilous situation, and you have to apologize to Wang Shangwu." These few words came out from Su Yi's mouth. Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air. Arrogant. Extremely arrogant. Not only did he want to climb the ladder, he also wanted to issue a challenge to Ram Star Plume. Hearing this, Ram Star Plume stared at Su Yi and sneered, "Are you sure?" Everyone present, including Yuning and Shintu Shuang, felt that Wen Yuan was too arrogant and shook their heads. Is this person crazy? He wants to compete on the cloud-supporting ladder with senior brother Gong Yang, who is at the 6th level of Origin Ancestor stage. What ability does he have? Shameless boasting. Senior brother Gong Yang defeat him. How can such an arrogant person participate in the dire perilous situation? Amidst the clamoring and insults, Gong Yang Xingyu slowly walked in front of Su Yi and said in a low voice, "Kid, you asked for this. Don't regret it." Ignoring Ram Star Plume's sharp gaze, Su Yi's gaze was cold as he said, "That's right, during the climb, I will allow you to ride your mount at any time. But if you still fail, you will have to kneel and apologize to Shang Wu." "Kid, do you want to die?" Hearing this, the people from the young master's mansion instantly exploded as waves of Yuan Qi gushed out. Ram Star Plume focused. Naturally, he knew that this kid was full of tricks and had a glib tongue. What he said was nothing more than to disturb his mind. He was confident that he would definitely win this bet. After which, Gong Yang Xingyu coldly smiled. "What if you lose? Withdraw from the dire perilous situation and leave the ancient sect. The three of us will kneel and apologize to you." Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie stood behind Su Yi proudly. Without waiting for Su Yi to speak, the two of them spoke in unison. "That's right," Su Yi said indifferently. His line of sight slowly swept over the three people, and Gong Yang Xingyu suddenly laughed loudly. His arrogant laughter was filled with gloominess, and he loudly said, "Everyone present heard it. Then let's begin." After saying that, Ram Star Plume and Su Yi walked towards the escalator under everyone's expectant gaze. When Su Yi turned around and brushed past Yuning looked at him with concern. Her gentle voice was like a quiet spring in a valley. "Wen Yuan, be careful." Su Yi's figure paused for a moment. He turned around and said to Yuning with a smile, "Wait for me alone at the entrance of the dire perilous situation. I will give you something." Ram Star Plume looked at Su Yi and Yuning's intimate appearance and was filled with anger. "Don't talk nonsense, let's begin." Immediately, the two of them looked at the escalator that led to the distant horizon. Su-yi and Ram Starplume began to release their yuan qi at the same time. You bullied Wang Shangwu for so many years. Today, I will help him get back his face. Su-yi muttered. Boom. Almost at the same time, both of their feet heavily stomped on the ground. Two rays of light, one green and one white, shot into the clouds. Quickly leaving the ground, the fierce energy waves evaporated the water vapor in front of the escalator. Everyone looked at the sky through the milky white water vapor. Su-yi and Ram Starplume had already disappeared. The two of them are so fast. Shintu Shuang's eyes moved. She was shocked by the speed of the two people. Boom. Yu Ning frowned. She formed a seal with her hands and quickly flew on top of the startled feather griffin. At this moment, Yu Ning was certain that Wen Yuan was the person who saved her that day. Wen Yuan had openly argued with Ram Starplume. Ram Starplume would definitely make things difficult for Su-yi on the escalator. Shuang, come up. Yu Ning pulled the reins of the griffin and said, Peerless Arrow Squad, Moon Jade Valley, listen to my orders. Hurry to Rising Cloud Palace. I will go too. I will go too. Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie said loudly. Yu Ning immediately raised her hand, indicating the two of them to come up as well. Immediately after, the young master's mansion and the other outer palace disciples hurriedly followed up. The outer palace disciples who needed to accept the cloud escalator also scrambled to climb up the cloud escalator. They all wanted to see who would have the last laugh between Wen Yuan and Gongyang Xingyu. Chapter 2148. AI. These young people. Looking at the back of the departing figure, Lu Ti was somewhat at a loss. With a bitter smile, Lu Ti called the storm-white jade condor and followed closely behind. On the back of the beast, not only Su-yi, but Yu Ning had also disappeared. Lu Ti, who was riding the beast, had a glimmer of hope in his heart. This time, he might have a chance to become an elder. After entering the escalator, Su-yi seemed to be in a world of white clouds. The ground under his feet was clearly solid, but he could not see the real thing at all. The higher he went, the more he could feel the weight on his body increasing. From 100 jin to 200 jin, and then to 300 jin, the weight on his body was gradually increasing. And this kind of weight was nothing to Su-yi. After all, the weight of the blood demon killing god sword was hundreds of thousands of jin, but even with this kind of weight, Su-yi was still walking on flat ground. His speed was extremely fast. The yuan qi under his feet rose sharply, and the effect of the special training in the space-time mezzanine appeared at this moment. Su-yi had been following closely behind Ram Starplume, not more and not less. The two of them, one in front and one behind, continued to climb up. Ram Starplume, who was in front, pressed forward, the white wind attribute yuan qi surging out, becoming more illusory like lightning, crazily climbing up. After climbing to a certain distance, Ram Starplume glanced down and saw Su-yi smiling at him. Su-yi's face was full of indifference, as if as long as Ram Starplume relaxed, he could surpass him at any time. Immediately, Ram Starplume's heart sank, the corners of his mouth unconsciously curled, and said angrily, "Good boy, you really have some ability. After the weight test, there are still 2 more tests. Let's see how you can surpass me." Suddenly, Ram Starplume dashed up, the yuan qi under his feet suddenly rose, and the wind attribute yuan qi burst out from his body. As if there were wings on his back, Ram Starplume's speed increased again. Boom! As his aura surged, spatial ripples surged on the cloud-supporting ladder. Ram Starplume shot out like an arrow from a bow, quickly pulling away from Su-yi. "Ha ha! Kid, let's see how you're going to compete with me." Su-yi was not in a hurry. Even though the distance between them had widened a little, he was not in a hurry. To him, seeing the speed limits of the Yun family's top 3 was an opportunity for him to know his enemy. This kid is truly at the 6th level of the Origin Ancestor realm. Chi Feihong nodded as he acknowledged Ram Star Plume's strength. But he's a bastard. This kind of person must not be allowed to live, Sui said with a smile. Chi La. Sui clapped his hands downwards, and a surge of force surged out. Sui borrowed the rebounding force and shot up once again. Outside the cloud supporting ladder, Yuning and the rest could clearly see where Sui and Ram Star Plume were. In their eyes, Sui was lagging behind Ram Star Plume by a distance. Shintu Shuang sighed softly, then said loudly, Aya, why is Wen Yuan lagging behind by so much? Yuning gaze was fixed on Wen Yuan, and a trace of worry was revealed. She said softly, this doesn't make sense. His strength shouldn't be lagging behind by so much. Could he be observing? On the back of the bird, Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie had calm gazes. They were not worried that Sui would lose at all. Why aren't you worried at all? Shintu Shuang turned her head and asked doubtfully. Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie looked at each other and smiled. Ram Star Plume had already suffered a loss at the hands of Sui, so how could Sui lose again? The two's reaction made Yuning calm down. She said to Shintu Shuang, look, they're about to enter the soul stage. Seeing that Sui and Ram Star Plume were already halfway up the cloud supporting ladder, their speed gradually slowed down. The soul stage of the cloud supporting ladder was a huge test of soul energy. It was a thorough examination of a martial artist's soul energy. The soul stage was used to test whether or not a martial artist had a firm martial will, and whether or not they could resist the various difficulties and temptations of the martial path. After entering the soul stage, not only did the weight of his body surge like a mountain, Suyi's soul also felt a sharp pain. Soon, all kinds of illusions appeared in front of Suyi's eyes. Mountains collapsed, boulders exploded, stars moved, lightning storms. As long as it was a foreseeable illusion, it would appear in front of his eyes. Furthermore, it was different from the Golden Rock Hidden Realm and Zhaoling's test. In this kind of test, the higher one went, the more terrifying and painful the martial artist's memories would be. As Sui continued to ascend, he could feel the mysterious ball of light in his body expanding. What a powerful soul stage test! Sui sucked in a breath of cold air. Without stopping, Sui continued to circulate the art of driving the heavens. While controlling his soul, he also began to release Yuan Qi to control the mysterious ball of light in his body. Soon, Suyi's mind flashed with the image of his parents, whom he had not seen in a long time. Amidst the light, Sui saw himself crying piteously for food in the arms of a beautiful woman. The beautiful woman was sobbing. Beside the beautiful woman, there was a tall and handsome man who stood tall and straight. He was comforting the crying woman. Father, mother, Sui blurted out. A primitive impulse made Sui call out. Even if he was reborn into this world with his memories and merged with this body, Sui had already merged with this body and his memories. Hot tears welled up in his eyes. Sui wanted to see his parents' faces, but no matter how hard he struggled, he could not see them clearly. At the same time, Ram Star Plume had already jumped out of the soul stage test. He looked down and saw Sui, who was getting slower and slower, and the corner of his mouth curled up. You want to fight me? You're far from it. Immediately, the dense wind attribute Yuan Qi crazily surged, and Ram Star Plume once again headed towards the top of the escalator. Outside the escalator, Suyi's stagnation made Yuning and the others anxious. How many outer house disciples have fallen in this stage? But it shouldn't be, with his cultivation, he shouldn't fall here. Yuning palms gradually began to sweat. Hearing this, Shintu Shuang looked at Ram Star Plume's figure getting closer and closer to the escalator, and began to worry. Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie said from behind, Do your best. Don't lose. Suyi's abnormal performance made Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie lose their confidence. Anxious gazes fell on Sui, who was halfway up the mountain. Su-yi, what is he doing? In the soul stage, Su-yi was still immersed in the dream of family, and the soul light in his mind gradually began to form. The indistinct ball of light that he wanted to pry into finally began to change. The dense and hazy light emitted a faint radiance, gradually isolating Su-yi from the outside world. It was detached from the sky razor and even more so from the outside world. Chapter 2149. Su-yi, wake up! Chi Feihong shouted immediately, hoping that Su-yi would wake up as soon as possible. Brat, now's not the time for you to pry. The iron soulfish, who had been sleeping for a long time, sensed the unusual changes in Su-yi's body at the moment and shouted in his deep voice in the entryway. The mysterious light ball changed. Su-yi could not help but approach the mysterious light ball in a daze. Just when he was about to touch it, an explosion was heard. As if the universe had exploded, Su-yi's entire body began releasing ferocious energy. A lady's voice came faintly from the heaven-origin demon soul. The voice was magnetic and charming. There were emotions in the wild voice that he had not heard for a long time. Su-yi, wake up! The voice that he was once so familiar with came into Su-yi's ears. He felt like he was being pulled by a warm hand. Su-yi finally walked out of the attraction of the mysterious light ball. He opened his eyes slightly. Although he was still in a daze, he was much more awake now. His subconscious told Su-yi that it was Ling Qianxue's voice. It was a voice that he could not be more familiar with. Su-yi, wake up! Due to the change in the mysterious light ball, the heaven-origin demon soul seemed to be affected too. Soon, Ling Qianxue's voice disappeared. She fell into the chaos of refining the 9 spirit lynx's blood again. Qianxue, Qianxue! Su-yi opened his eyes. The tearing sensation in his head woke him up completely. Qianxue, Qianxue! Now, it was the iron soulfish and Chi Feihong's turn to be shocked. They had been living in Su-yi's body for so long, but they did not know that there was a lady in his body. Is this brat born with a lady's heart? Chi Feihong smiled helplessly, and then he looked at Su-yi, who had just woken up from his dream, and urged, quickly charge up. It'll be too late if you don't move now. Suddenly, Su-yi took a deep breath, and the art of control and origin supreme technique swiftly circulated within his body. Desolate and thick primeval energy seemed to have traversed the boundless heavens and the earth to envelop Su-yi's body. Boom! Looking from afar, Su-yi was surrounded by a milky white energy that was spinning like a top. In the next second, Su-yi roared. Ha! The ferocious sound wave shattered the void. Looking at Gong Yang Xingyu, who seemed to have already passed the 3rd stage, Su-yi's speed instantly increased by several times. His entire person was like a cannonball that shot out, rushing through the 2nd stage in one go. He's finally awake. Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie heaved a sigh of relief. As long as nothing unexpected happened to Su-yi, he would definitely win. Yu Ning'er also relaxed her brows, as if she had overcome the crisis herself. Sparkling and translucent beads of sweat slid down her face, dripping and translucent. Bang! After passing through the 2nd level, Su-yi directly entered the 3rd level, the 5 elements level. The 5 elements level was a test of a martial artist's 5 element. Not only did this level require the martial artist to use the attribute he was most proficient in, but it also required the martial artist to use the attribute he was most proficient in. The energy within the sky supporting ladder would also stimulate the martial artist's weak attribute like a needle hole, causing the martial artist to be riddled with holes, as if 100 claws were scratching at his heart. Suddenly, Su-yi felt the weight on his body increase by quite a bit. It was at least 100,000 pounds. However, this bit of weight was as easy as picking flowers and twirling leaves for Su-yi. Su-yi's figure did not stop. His gaze swept across Ram's star plume, which was halfway through, and he chuckled softly. Looks like this level is also a test for you, who is at the 6th level of the Origin Ancestor realm. In his eyes, Ram Starplume's speed had greatly decreased. After passing through 2 levels consecutively, he had exhausted too much of his flesh and soul. Just 100,000 pounds of weight was not a small amount for an Origin Ancestor realm martial artist. Ram Starplume, who was slightly dispirited, was panting heavily on the spot. When he heard Su Yi's voice, his expression instantly changed. A trace of undetectable fear flashed across his eyes. How could this be? When Yuan, who was clearly unable to extricate himself from the 2nd level, seemed to have changed into a different person at the 3rd level. Not only was his origin chi aura abundant, but his soul energy also seemed to have been renewed. This was the first time Ram Starplume had encountered such a strange thing. A dangerous aura surged in his heart. Boom! Before he could think about it, the ground below suddenly trembled. Following which, a blazing ball of flame streaked up from the bottom, causing the space to tremble wherever it passed. Swish! Swish! A sharp sound of something breaking through the air resounded. Su Yi's speed was as sharp as wind and thunder as he approached at a high speed with an astonishing aura. Suddenly, a fiery red nebula was left behind on the cloud ladder, and a blazing aura swept out. In the blink of an eye, the ball of flame was behind Ram Starplume. When Ram Starplume shouted, Su Yi had already arrived. In the light, Su Yi's face was terrifyingly calm. It was as if he had judged Ram Starplume from the heavens. I have said that I have the right to choose myself. In this world, the only one who can stop me is myself. Those who block me will be killed. Those who block me will be killed. Su Yi's gloomy and cold voice was mixed with an energy storm as he spoke. The fierce soul energy quickly collapsed on Gongyang Xingyu's already haggard body. Puff! Finally, Ram Starplume's heart and soul relaxed. His eyes instantly bulged out, and from the corner of his mouth shot out a parabola-like blood ray. Immediately, hearty laughter resounded through the cloud ladder, and the sound of wind breaking resounded again. Su Yi continued to move forward like a hot knife through butter. Within the boundless sea of clouds, it was terrifyingly quiet. Only Gongyang Xingyu was left alone, gasping for breath on the spot like a tired wild bull. Between breaths, Ram Starplume's eyes gradually became gloomy, and a trace of fierceness flashed across his gloomy face. Impossible! I said I would beat you. No one can decide. No one can resist. At this moment, Ram Starplume slowly wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. In the vast sea of clouds, the higher the cloud ladder went, the thicker the clouds became, and Ram Starplume's eyes gradually became hazy. Looking at Su Yi surpassing Ram Starplume, the frightened feather griffin was jubilant. Wang Shangu and Mu Renjie were excited. They loudly said to Yu Ning Ancient to Shuang Shuang, Senior Sister Ning Senior Sister Shuang Shuang, I said it before. Wen Yuan will definitely win. Seeing that Wen Yuan had taken a large lead over Ram Starplume, Yu Ning gradually revealed a gentle and charming smile, which made Wang Shangu and Mu Renjie instantly sluggish. It's not that simple. Lu Ti, who had caught up, shouted loudly, pointing at Ram Starplume's position, and said in a deep voice, You still don't know what Ram Starplume's tricks are. In an instant, following Lu Ti's gaze, everyone noticed that Ram Starplume suddenly came to life. A palm print condensed in his hand, and a long whistle came from his mouth, crisp and clear. Roar! A beast roar broke through the clouds, and a shocking black smoke floated in front of everyone's eyes. It was the golden-winged black smoke beast of the young master's mansion. Chapter 2150. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the ferocious beast roared at the sky as it flew past them. Carrying the ferocious beast's might of spiritual energy, it pounced straight at Geong Xingyu. Subsequently, Geong Xingyu lightly jumped onto the beast's back. Unfair. Ram Star Plume actually summoned the golden-winged black smoke beast. Shintu Shuang shouted, pointing at Ram Star Plume. At this moment, Ram Star Plume had already broken through the clouds with his hands behind his back. Soon, he caught up with Su-Yi, who was still a little distance away from the finish line. He did not violate the rules. Su-Yi promised that he could ride his own mount at any time. Yuning Er's eyes instantly became serious. Suddenly, everyone was speechless, including Lu Ti. Everyone had heard Su-Yi's promise. However, no one would have thought that Ram Star Plume, an ancient sect's top 3 successor, would actually ride a beast to catch up with someone of the same generation. This action was simply shameless to the extreme. What should we do? Wang Shangwu's eyes instantly became anxious. He naturally knew what kind of person Ram Star Plume was. Su-Yi had forced Ram Star Plume to disregard his face and chase after him. Once he caught up, he would definitely kill him. At this moment, they could only watch helplessly as Ram Star Plume arrived behind Su-Yi. They did not know what to do and were like ants on a hot pan. "Miss you, come over here for a moment." Lu Ti's eyes lit up as he softly called out to Yuning, who was on the griffin, "Since things have come to this, I think in the entire ancient sect, only you have this item that can resolve this crisis." Hearing Lu Ti's solution, Yuning Er's eyes suddenly brightened. A light smile flashed across her face as she said, "Okay, I'll go." As soon as her voice fell, Yuning Er's figure turned and the energy in the sky danced. Yuning Er's figure quickly turned into a phantom and flashed into the thick clouds. Cloud Supporting Ladder, 3rd Stage. An extremely arrogant and sinister laughter sounded behind Su-Yi. Su-Yi's feet suddenly paused as he glanced back. He noticed that Ram Star Plume was riding the golden-winged black smoke beast. Murderous intent shot out from his deep eyes. "Ride a mount to chase after me. But remember to kneel down." Su-Yi softly laughed. He had already guessed the outcome of this battle. Gong Yang Xingyu's speed was no match for his. Riding a mount was the only way for him to win. Hearing this, the corners of Ram Star's mouth twitched. His pale face was filled with murderous intent. "Arrogant bastard. Do you think you can get out?" Just as he finished speaking, the sound of something breaking through the air reverberated through the space below. Immediately after, Gong Yang Xingyu rode on his vicious beast and galloped over, his roar shaking the heavens. You voice, you. No one here will know if you can't stand the pressure of the cloud supporting ladder or if you will be killed by me." Suddenly, a thunderous sound burst out from Gong Yang Xingyu's body. The ferocious beast under him raised its head and roared. A violent gale carrying a monstrous energy dispersed in midair. "Who?" Opening the folding fan in his hand, 5 sharp fan tips instantly pulled out 5 ripples in the space in front of him. Mysterious patterns lingered on the ribs of the fan as it rushed towards Su-Yi with murderous intent. At this moment, Ram Star Plume's figure suddenly appeared in front of Su-Yi. It was the same move from that day, but with the addition of the speed of the golden-winged black smoke beast. Such a clean and efficient killing move was enough to destroy the soul of a person. Looking at Su-Yi, who stopped in place, the corners of Ram Star Plume's mouth twitched. Wind attribute energy instantly aroused the energy in front of him, causing the space in front of him to distort and crack. "Go to hell." Ram Star Plume waved his fan at the same time. His mournful smile instantly froze. At this moment, Su-Yi did not dodge at all, nor did he have any hesitation. "Then let's see if it's you or me who will die." Su-Yi's gaze was cold to the point of frightening. His white teeth suddenly revealed a smile. The fierce aura of the Origin Supreme technique was fully released. Purring! An undisguised, domineering aura gushed out. It was different from the aura of energy and also different from the pressure of the soul. This was a kind of bloodline suppression that only belonged to demon beasts. This pressure is so unique, so powerful. How can the golden-winged black smoke beast be afraid of Wen Yuan? That is a demon emperor-level demon beast. Su Yi's demon venerable aura gushed out without reservation. It was terrifying and majestic, causing the gaze of Shintu Shuang and the others to tremble. It's really him. He saved me. In the clouds, an inconceivable murmur came faintly. It was Yu Ning. Boom. With the increase of Su Yi's cultivation, the Origin's supreme technique's suppression of demon beasts had also increased by several times. It was daunting, and could not help but palpitate. The golden-winged black smoke beast, who felt fear, let out a heavy muffled sound. In an instant, Ram's star plume was heavily thrown to the ground by the golden-winged black smoke beast. Golden-winged black smoke beast, crush him. Su Yi's words were like a god's command. The golden-winged black smoke beast respectfully nodded, and then its huge foot, like a piece of iron, heavily stepped on Ram's star plume, who was still in a daze. As his foot landed, Gong Yang Xingyu's blood instantly gushed out. His intense shout caused the entire cloud-supporting ladder to tremble incessantly. Ram's star plume's originally pale face added a bit of ferocity, looking extremely fierce. At this moment, everyone who saw this scene had a huge change in expression. It was as if they were frozen, and they did not dare to close their eyes for even a second. The golden-winged black smoke beast raised by the Gongyang family actually obeyed Su Yi's command and killed its own master? Not only did Shintu Shuang's beautiful face change greatly, even Wang Shangwu and Mu Renji's hair stood on end as they personally experienced the gloomy killing intent that was cold to the bone from Su Yi's body. Fortunately, Su Yi is my teammate. Mu Renji, who was used to seeing blood, was dumbstruck. He heavily patted Wang Shangwu's shoulder with one hand. At this moment, inside the ladder, Su Yi was only 3 steps away from the end. After that, a tearing cry sounded again. Ram's star plume's beloved mount was lying beside it. In order to catch up to Su Yi, Ram's star plume actually killed its own mount. Su Yi, I said you can't escape. You can't escape. Ram's star plume's smile became more and more cruel. Its pupils instantly contracted, and it was ready to launch its final attack. After feeling the changes in the surrounding space, Ram's star plume knew that it was wrong. That bad premonition once again descended on its heart. Looking at the fluctuations of Su Yi's energy in the distance and the space inside the ladder completely solidified, Ram's star plume's eyes began to widen in shock. In the fluctuating space, Su Yi suddenly transformed into 4 solid figures. 4 palm prints broke through the air at the same time, and in an instant, a destructive aura filled the air. From Su Yi's body, the fierce water attribute swept out a fierce murderous aura, and the earth-shattering palm prints bombarded Ram's star plume. Everything happened so quickly that Su Yi was too lazy to see how it would end. In the shaking heaven and earth, flowing light flashed, and the 4 figures once again merged into one. Chapter 2151. Su Yi looked at Ram's star plume, who was already lying on the ground, and said lightly, "With your strength, you shouldn't have lost so miserably. You have the heart to fight, but your morals are too poor. You're doomed to lose." His voice gradually drifted away. In the chaotic space, Su Yi's figure turned into a stream of light and quickly flew toward the end. Inside the cloud ladder, in the hazy white divine light, Ram's star plume's roars and roars echoed throughout the entire cloud ladder. Whose voice is that? Is it Senior Brother Gong Yang? How can it be? Senior Brother Gong Yang is one of the top 3 in the ancient sect. How can he lose? It must be that guy called Wen Yuan. Shameless boasting. Teach him a lesson. Let's hurry up and take a look. The desperate situation of the inner mansion is about to begin. After hearing such a scream, the outer mansion disciples who were still climbing the cloud ladder began to discuss among themselves. All of them raised their heads and looked up in awe. Whoosh! Outside the cloud ladder, A huge amount of energy shattered the void. The thin air was filled with abundant spiritual chi. A huge cloud-piercing arrow broke out from a circular ball of light, like a lone eagle soaring in the sea of clouds. The energy ripples that swept through the heavens and earth shook the rising cloud palace. The one who came out was Sui. When Sui opened his eyes, he was already in a crowded square. In front of him was a huge palace that looked like a giant beast hibernating. It was the Rising Cloud Palace. Inside the huge square, there were 4 huge lotus palaces on the left and right side. As far as the eye could see, the Rising Cloud Palace in the center was also a huge lotus flower palace. The 9 lotus flowers were the same as the 9 lotus array that Sui had encountered when he entered the ancient sect. In front of the huge lotus flower palace, a bright pearl shone, and the golden light that sprinkled down was reflected on it, giving it a magical and extraordinary look. The lifelike and magnificent lotus flowers set off the Rising Cloud Palace to be even more magnificent and imposing. Looking at these 9 shocking palaces, Sui immediately sensed that any one of the palaces contained an extremely shocking amount of energy. The name of the ancient sect is indeed not just for show. Sui's gaze fluctuated, and his heart filled with enthusiasm for the desperate situation of the Black Sea that was about to begin. Walking down the ladder, the energy ripples under his feet made Sui feel as if he was falling into the clouds. Pure heaven and earth's energy was like a flood wrapped around him, and he looked at everyone in front of the palaces. They were all filled with excitement. Someone's coming out of the cloud ladder. Who is this person? I don't think I've seen him. I didn't even feel his yuan qi. In front of the 9 palaces, the inner palace disciples glanced at Sui with a puzzled expression, but because he was inconspicuous, they soon stopped looking at him. 1. Yu Ning Wang Shangu, and the rest of the group greeted Sui from the griffin that was spreading its wings in the air. I didn't expect this person to be Wen Yuan. The person who injured Lu Xian and Lu Yi doesn't seem to be much. He looks very ordinary, as if he hasn't seen the world. I'll make him feel better in a while. But why does senior sister Yu Ning seem to be familiar with him? Immediately, the eyes of all the disciples who knew that a disciple of the Lu sect had been beaten trembled. Their gazes towards Sui revealed a trace of unfriendliness. Yu Ning shout caused all the inner palace's disciples to stop what they were doing and focus their attention on Sui. Being stared at by so many people at the same time, Sui couldn't help but shake his head and smile helplessly. Looking back, the milky white clouds dissipated, and the griffin disappeared into the spatial ripples. 2 men and 2 women slowly walked over. They were Yu Ning Shintu Shuang, Wang Shangu, and Mu Renjie. Lu Ti wasn't among them. When Wang Shangu saw that Sui was unharmed, he was excited and smiled. You scared me to death. What are you doing in the second stage? I thought you were going to lose. Mu Renjie was also frightened for nothing. His eyes flashed with a trace of fear as he repeated Wang Shangu's words. According to his understanding, Sui wouldn't make such a mistake. There are some other reasons that made you worry. Sui's mind shook. The second stage was all because of the mysterious light ball's sudden change. He didn't have time to check what happened to the mysterious light ball, so Sui naturally wouldn't say much. As for Sui, who was talking to Wang Shangu, he noticed that Yu Ning gaze towards him was different from before. There was a strange light shooting out from her eyes. Wen Yuan, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. I've never heard of your name before. Shintu Shuang said straightforwardly and succinctly, full of admiration. As long as he could defeat Ram Starplume, it would be an extremely good thing. Sui had a good impression of Shintu Shuang. He smiled faintly and said to Shintu Shuang, You will be more familiar with this name soon. By the way, where is Lord Lu Ti? Sui looked around and didn't see Lu Ti's figure, so he asked immediately. Yu Ning took a step forward and said to Sui in a low voice, Lord Lu Ti has some matters to attend to. He will be here soon. Da. At this time, a few griffins rushed over from behind. They were the Peerless Arrow Team and Moon Jade Valley's people. Senior Ning Senior Shuang, Shintu family and Yu family's elders have already entered the Rising Cloud Palace to discuss the meeting. We will return to the Moon Palace to rest. Let's wait for the impasse to open. Yu Ning nodded. A trace of hesitation flashed across her beautiful eyebrows. She then looked at Wen Yuan and said softly, Wen Yuan, your outer sect doesn't have a place to rest. Why don't you return to the Moon Palace with me to rest? After saying that, Yu Ning gaze landed on a lotus palace in the distance near the Rising Cloud Palace. Just now, the Rising Cloud ladder had affected his flesh, soul, and blood to varying degrees. Sui naturally wouldn't refuse to rest for a while. He immediately agreed. Suyi's agreement made Yu Ning's expression soften. She immediately smiled and led the way. This smile was more beautiful than any other smile in the world. This smile made everyone present dumbfounded and their hearts tremble. No one had ever seen Yu Ning so charming. That faint smile lingered in everyone's hearts. In the eyes of others, Yu Ning was brimming with enthusiasm, as if she was bringing her lover back to her mother's home. Instantly, the surrounding blazing flames of love were cast on Sui. However, Sui wasn't afraid at all. He didn't move in the slightest. Following behind Yu Ning Sui's lips curled up. His gaze met with everyone's malicious gazes. His inexplicably domineering gaze revealed a sense of calmness. Immediately, every outer palace and inner palace disciple present became flustered and exasperated. Sui thought to himself, since everyone already hated Yun Jing to the bone, he didn't mind letting them feel the hatred in advance. Sui didn't have a good impression of the Yun family and the ancient sect. Chapter 2152. Yun Jing's whereabouts were unknown, Su Wan'er was imprisoned, and Wang Shangwu was bullied. The Yun family had already picked on Su Yi's reverse scale. Su Yi was waiting for an opportunity to explode. Have the other top 10 on the cloud leaderboard returned to their respective palaces to rest? In front of the escalator, Su Yi only saw Ram Starplume and Wu Ma Xiu from the Wu family. He had yet to see the other top 10 experts. Yu Ning walked to the left of Su Yi. Her beautiful eyes moved slightly as she explained to Su Yi, this is no small matter. Every top 10 on the cloud leaderboard represents the hope of their respective families. Naturally, they would have to make sufficient preparations before the event. You will see them later. As they spoke, the four of them arrived in front of the Moon Palace. Behind them, countless pairs of eyes were staring at Su Yi like needles. Su Yi lifted his chin and said to Yu Ning, there's no one else here for now, right? No, the elders and our family head are all having a meeting in the Rising Cloud Palace. An expert from the Moon Jade Valley said respectfully. Because of Yu Ning's attitude towards Wen Yuan, the Peerless Arrow Team and every beauty in the Moon Jade Valley had changed their cold and frosty attitude to a gentle side. That's good. Su Yi smiled and looked at Yu Ning. He said softly, you and I will go in alone. No one else is going in, just the two of us. Just the two of us? After hearing Su Yi's words, Yu Ning's eyes were filled with shyness and doubt. Not only Yu Ning but Shintu Shuang, Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie also widened their eyes. Until Su Yi repeated himself, everyone was sure that Su Yi wanted to bring Yu Ning and Mu Renjie into the palace alone. No one else was allowed to enter. Isn't this a little too fast? Even the usually forthright Shintu Shuang frowned and felt a little embarrassed. This. Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie looked at each other and shrugged their shoulders, indicating that they didn't know. Looking at the people present, everyone's expression was close to a state of rage. Who the hell does he think he is? He dares to say such words to my goddess, senior sister Yu Ning. This is an insult to the goddess. No. This is an insult to my dignity. Don't agree with him. Senior sister Yu Ning. He must be an arrogant person, and a lecherous lecher. They beat their chests and stomped their feet. Soft sobbing sounds rose and fell one after another. The surrounding outer palace disciples knew that they would never be able to get close to the woman they loved in their entire lives. However, no one wanted to see their goddess enter the moon palace with an average-looking man. This was the minimum requirement for an admirer. Their fiery gazes turned from passionate to begging, as if they were hoping that Miss Yu Ning would not agree. No. Yu Ning, my senior brother Gong Yang hasn't arrived yet. How can you be in the same room with a wild man? Senior sister Yu Ning, if you agree, are you going to disregard the face of young master's mansion and Gong Yang family? Don't you know how to behave yourself when you're engaged? Finally, the people from young master's mansion could not help but question loudly. The fierce wind passed through the crowd and landed on Yu Ning, causing her clothes to flutter. A stone caused 1,000 ripples. The angry crowd that did not dare to speak also began to clamor. The impassioned outer palace disciples began to question loudly. Young master's mansion is right. Senior sister Yu Ning is the pride of the ancient sect. How can we ruin her reputation? Brat, if you want to use such despicable means to get Miss Yu Ning, you better give up. A toad wants to eat swan meat. Lecher, I'm going to kill you. Boom! In an instant, the mechanical sound of springs quickly rang out. The moving sound of the moon flute turned into waves of sound waves that covered the clamor of the martial artists present. Facing the incomparably cold arrow tip, the martial artists who were clamoring earlier were all silent. Shintu Shuang angrily shouted, "What are you clamoring for? What are you clamoring for? What senior sister Ning does is none of your business. Whoever dares to speak, get lost. She is the mistress of my Gong Yang family." The leader of the young master's mansion raised his eyebrows. A surge of killing intent instantly thickened as he spoke forcefully. Boom! A violent sound rang out from the crowd. Shintu Shuang flicked her finger and an invisible arrow chi instantly shot towards the opponent's forehead. Crack! The crisp sound of a skull breaking rang out. The people present were shocked and immediately retreated 3 zhang away. Looking at the disciple of the young master's mansion, who was lying on the ground and howling in pain, the inner palace disciples gasped. Whoever dares to speak will have the same ending. Shintu Shuang's eyes twitched as killing intent shot out. In an instant, the entire square quietened down. Hundreds of throbbing eyes fell on Su Yi and Yu Ning. You only have this one chance. In this desperate situation, I have no time to be alone with you. Su Yi did not care about the clamor just now and said this sentence indifferently. Su Yi's words made the already scared crowd go crazy again. This was related to Yu Ning's reputation, and it was not a small matter. Standing in front of the moon palace, Yu Ning took a deep breath. Her eyes flashed with determination as she slowly raised her head and looked at the young man in front of her. His deep eyes revealed a calm majesty. Yu Ning's eyes moved slightly. This young man named Wen Yuan seemed to be different from the people she had met before. He said that he wanted to give her something. Could it be here? What could it be? Immediately, Yu Ning gathered her courage and looked at Shintu Shuang behind her. Finally, she said in a deep voice, "Let's go. I believe in you." As soon as she finished speaking, Yu Ning and Su Yi walked into the moon palace amidst laments and sighs of pity. Shintu Shuang, the peerless archer team, and the Moon Jade Valley people did not know what to do. Shintu Shuang stared blankly as the two disappeared from her sight. However, as long as it was Yu Ning's choice, Shintu Shuang would support her unconditionally. "Shang Wu, who is this brother of yours? Why is it that every time Senior Ning sees him, she seems to be possessed. Wang Shangu slowly raised his chin. His bright eyes fluctuated as he smiled. You will know later. Then, the crowd dispersed. Every martial artist present returned to their original position with a gloomy face. The desperate situation had not yet begun, but half of their morale had already dissipated. The people from the young master's mansion glared fiercely at Shintu Shuang and the rest. They returned to the Gongyang Palace and waited for the arrival of Ram's star plume. Inside the Moon Palace, the large and cold palace was filled with fragrance. Spiritual energy mixed with energy floated in the room. Energy threads visible to the naked eye danced like fairies. In the hazy and illusory atmosphere, Yuning followed Su Yi and walked forward. If anyone saw her shy appearance, their eyeballs would probably fall to the ground. Is there a smaller room here? Su Yi looked around the hall. The spiritual energy here was abundant, but it was not suitable for healing Yuning. Chapter 2153. Hearing this, Yuning became even more embarrassed and said hesitantly, Yes, but what do you want to do? Don't think too much. I just want to treat your injuries. Following Yuning's footsteps, the two of them arrived at the resting room in the Moon Palace. When Su Yi took out the snow smoke roots, Yuning's expression changed drastically as she looked at Su Yi in disbelief. You don't have to look at me like that. This desperate situation is very important to me, and it is also very important to you. I don't want you to not be able to choose your own life, Su Yi said seriously. He had already guessed that Yuning would be shocked and said indifferently. Sizing up the fragrant snow smoke that was of a much higher quality than what she knew, Yuning said faintly, So it was you that night. Who are you? Who I am is not important. If you know, it will not be good for you, Su Yi said indifferently, following which, his deep eyes flickered as he said in a deep voice. You should be poisoned by the white-eyed soft muscle weasel. Although I am not an alchemist, I have my own methods to neutralize the poison in your body. However, this method is very overbearing, so you have to bear with it. Now, take off your clothes. What? Yuning pursed her lips and looked at Wen Yuan in shock. He actually described her illness so accurately. However, taking off her clothes? Yuning's brows quickly wrinkled. She had never revealed her body in front of the opposite sex. This was really difficult. Su Yi looked at Yuning patiently. He naturally knew that this kind of thing would be difficult for a girl. Just by converting the energy of the snow smoke into a pill and transferring it into Yuning's body, Yuning had already been poisoned for a long time. This method could only treat the symptoms and not the root cause. The only thing he could do now was to use the demon-subduing illusory cannon and activate the white-eyed soft muscle weasel's poison with the aura of the golden dragon. After the poison was removed from the body, the medicinal energy of the snow smoke could be attached to the wound, allowing it to display its strongest effect. This method not only saved the process of refining pills, it could also treat the root cause, killing two birds with one stone. How about it? Have you thought it through? This is the only time you can change your fate, Su Yi said lightly. He then got up and prepared to leave. If Yuning cared so much about her reputation, Su Yi would not force her. For Su Yi, he only wanted to have one more friend. If he had one less friend, Su Yi wouldn't care. I accept. Yuning grabbed Su Yi's right hand and lowered her beautiful eyes. Immediately after, Yuning shouted loudly. The anger that had accumulated in her heart for a long time was finally released. As long as we are not restricted by the Gongyang family, this is nothing. Boom. The dim light was extinguished in an instant. Su Yi's lips curled up slightly in the dimly lit resting room. Violent yuan qi of a fourth-level origin ancestor gushed out of his body. Qi La. The roof instantly lit up, and all kinds of ancient demonic beast phantoms instantly covered the sky. Demonic qi lingered in the air, and a huge soul pressure firmly locked Yuning in place. The light was dazzling, and the divine light was dazzling. It was like the beginning of the world, and the domineering demonic beast's aura swept across the sky. This is... Yuning who was shocked by the sudden phenomenon, gasped. Su-yi turned around. His eyes were crimson gold, and his body was shrouded in divine light. The surging aura was like a peerless hero who dominated the world. Close your eyes. I will let you return to your peak. Outside the Moon Palace, time passed like quicksand. Shintu Shuang, Wang Shangwu, and Mu Renjie were all frowning, waiting impatiently in place. Still not coming out. Still not coming out. Shintu Shuang counted the time with her fingers. It was getting closer to the end of the elders' meeting, which meant that the opening of the great impasse was getting closer. Yeah. Why haven't you come out yet? Wang Shanwu shouted and chased away the people who wanted to peek inside the Moon Palace. Shintu Shuang's gaze fell on the stairs of the Moon Palace. As the meeting was about to end, the people who were resting in the various lotus palaces had already come out. When the crowd saw that there were people moving in front of the Moon Palace, they gathered around. Everyone was curious, and more people joined in the fun. Soon, the news of Yuning entering the Moon Palace with an outer sect participant spread like wildfire. When the other inner mansion disciples heard the news, their faces turned gloomy, and they looked at Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie viciously. Many piercing gazes were directed at them, and Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie were even more anxious. They did not know what to do. Seeing that more and more people were gathering, Shintu Shuang said softly. Almost all of the participating disciples, except for the top 10 on the cloud roll, had gathered. No. I have to go in and take a look. If they still don't come out after the elders' meeting, I won't be able to clear my name. Swoosh. At this moment, not far away, a fierce white ball of light flew over from the escalating cloud staircase. It was like a flood or a ferocious beast pouncing over from the wave. In the vast space, under the crazy fluctuation of this violent energy ripple, a substantial space ripple was instantly set off. The violent killing intent arrived in the blink of an eye. When the people present saw the figure clearly, they felt as if they had seen wrongly. Ram Star Plume. Shintu Shuang, Wang Shangwu, and Mu Renjie cried out at the same time. Ram Star Plume in front of them had disheveled hair. Although his aura was no longer weak, his scarlet eyes and torn clothes indicated that Ram Star Plume had suffered a great setback in the escalating cloud staircase. Is that Senior Brother Gong Yang? Why did he come so late? Why did he come out from the escalating cloud staircase? Is he injured? Who is so bold to beat Senior Brother Gong Yang up like this? The people present cast doubtful gazes on Ram Star Plume. They were surprised. Soon after, the news of Wen Yuan defeating Ram Star Plume in the escalating cloud staircase quickly spread. The skeptical crowd looked at Ram Star Plume's appearance and instantly understood. Where's Wen Yuan? Wen Yuan, get out here. I'm going to kill you, Ram Star Plume roared. He pushed his blood-stained palm forward. Immediately, a vast amount of soul energy erupted from his body. Senior Brother Gong Yang. Senior Brother Gong Yang. The people from the young master's mansion immediately ran to Ram Star Plume's side. When he heard that Yuning and Wen Yuan had entered the Moon Palace and had not come out, Ram Star Plume's face immediately turned green. They were excreting on his head, and they still asked him for toilet paper. It was obvious that these two people had planted a huge grassland on his head. No wonder Yuning wanted to stand up for Wen Yuan. It turned out that they had already colluded with each other. This was a huge trap for him. When the crowd saw the people from the young master's mansion adding oil and vinegar to the story, they immediately kept quiet out of fear. They did not dare to speak. However, from Ram Star Plume's eyes that were filled with killing intent, it could be seen that Ram Star Plume was about to explode. Ram Star Plume gritted his teeth and instantly rushed to the Moon Palace's staircase. He angrily said, "Call Yu Ning and Wen Yuan, this adulterous couple, out here." Chapter 2154. Ram Star Plume, are you crazy? Don't spout nonsense again. I'll pull out your tongue immediately. Shintu Shuang said angrily, raising an invisible crossbow in her hand. Ram Star Plume, who did not show any weakness, looked at Wang Shangu, Mu Renjie, and the others who were on the stairs. White light also shone from his body, and a sonorous sound resounded in the air. "You want to stop me with just a few pieces of trash like you? Today, I'll let everyone know what kind of person that bitch Yu Ning is." Ram Star Plume's eyes shot out killing intent as he walked up step by step. Immediately, everyone in front of the Moon Palace, including Shintu Shuang, Wang Shangu, and the others, were ready. Fierce soul energy confronted each other, and the space trembled in an instant. Bang! In a flash, Ram Star Plume's figure had already exploded in front of the Moon Palace. At the same time, a yellow light shot out from the sky. Ka! A tall and exquisite yellow earth wall instantly blocked in front of the Moon Palace, and a huge amount of soul energy directly poured out Ram Star Plume's vitality. At the same time, Ram Star Plume's figure also staggered a few steps back, and his face was ugly and surprised. Everyone looked in the direction of the yellow light. At the end of the void stood a middle-aged man in a yellow robe. His long robe fluttered, and his whole body was full of a powerful aura. The yellow-robed man's face was solemn and resolute, and his bright eyes revealed a trace of disgust and contempt for Ram Star Plume. "Father!" Shintu Shuang's face instantly brightened, and she smiled towards the sky. "Patriarch Shintu! Patriarch Shintu!" When the onlookers saw this expert, they all lined up neatly, and their eyes were serious. "Shintu, you dare to stop me?" Ram Star Plume turned his head, and his gloomy eyes were filled with extreme anger. "If your family didn't teach you manners, I don't mind teaching you." Shintu Yi's eyebrows instantly lowered and his gaze turned back. A group of experts stood in front of the rising cloud palace, and a vast soul energy with endless majesty rolled over. "Greetings to Patriarch and Elders." Everyone in the square knelt down one after another. The sound waves instantly shook the void as they saluted the cultivators in front of the rising cloud palace. When Ram Star Plume saw this, Yun Zhongli and his patriarch were also present. He immediately knelt down with a frown and immediately got up to look at Shintu Yi. At this time, Shintu Yi had already arrived in front of Shintu Shuang. She inquired about their well-being and pulled Shintu Shuang and the others to the side to protect them. "Who can tell me? What happened?" Yun Zhongli's eyes flickered, and his voice was mixed with boundless primordial qi, as if it came from the horizon. Following the transmission of the voice, the entire world immediately changed. Vaguely, everyone present felt their vitality stagnate. Their blood froze and their souls trembled. All the cultivators retreated to the sides, their eyes solemn, their bodies trembling. "Patriarch!" Ram Star Plume took a deep breath. After calming down, he walked down from the Moon Palace. "Xingyu, what happened? Why aren't you resting in the palace? Why are you like this?" Beside Yun Zhongli, a lean old man with a goatee, a sallow complexion, and a lean body quickly flew to Ram Star Plume's side and asked in surprise. The person who came was Gong Yang family's Gong Yang Wuming. Looking at Ram Star Plume's miserable state, Gong Yang Wuming's face was gloomy like iron. His eyes were filled with resentment, as if he wanted to swallow everyone alive. "Grandfather!" Looking at the old man beside him, Ram Star Plume's face slightly changed, full of grievance. "Who was it that injured you? Tell Grandfather. Grandfather will tear him into pieces." Gong Yang Wuming stuffed a pill into Ram Star Plume's mouth. His gaze was extremely gloomy as he swept the crowd, and finally landed on the Yu family and Shintu family. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Gong Yang Xing Yu naturally recounted the matter of him competing with Wen Yuan on the escalator. The bet and the matter of him riding a mount to chase after Su Yi was naturally concealed. Bullshit. Ram Star Plume, if you are a man, say it clearly. What exactly happened in the ladder? Shintu Shuang roared. The mechanism in her hand instantly activated, but she was stopped by Shintu Yi. Little girl, shut up. This old man is asking a question, it's not your turn to interrupt. Gong Yang Wuming roared hoarsely. Instantly, the sound waves shook the entire crowd. Listening to Ram Star Plume's narration, the name Wen Yuan instantly touched Yun Zhongli's eyes. At this time, Yun Zhongli's deep gaze fell on a black-clothed figure in the corner of the rising cloud palace. Jing Yuan, endure it. This is not the time to stand out. As for Su Yi's matter, I will settle it for him. Yun Zhongli's voice instantly shot to a corner with a secret technique. The black-clothed figure was Su Jingyuan. Jingyuan faintly said, "If anything happens to my son, I won't let you off. Wen Fu won't let you off either." After saying that, in the corner, a faint spatial ripple flickered, and the figure instantly disappeared. After Su Jingyuan left, Yun Zhongli's expression clearly became more natural. His gaze was fixed on Gong Yang Wuming, who was shouting in mid-air. "Xingyu, where is Wen Yuan now? Why are you so angry in front of the Moon Palace?" Gong Yang Wuming frowned, and a trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes. After saying that, Gong Yang Wuming's gaze fell gloomily on the Yu clan. Obviously, Gong Yang Wuming was a protective person, and he was also a person who would take advantage of the situation to make a fuss. As soon as he finished speaking, the top 10 people on the cloud list slowly walked out from the various lotus palaces. Wu Ma Xiu walked out first. His robe was tightly wrapped. When he saw Ram Star Plume's appearance, he immediately sneered in his black robe. Then, Lu Linxian, Dongfang Yuan, Jing Tianzhan, Yuan Xianfeng, who were all experts on the cloud list, walked out one after another. As soon as they came out, everyone was stunned by the deadlock in front of them. When he saw the experts coming out, Ram Star Plume's gaze became even more malicious. He pointed at the Moon Palace behind him and questioned. "Yu clan's patriarch, Xingyu wants to ask you, Yu Ning-er and that outer sex Wen Yuan are now alone in the Moon Palace. Can you give me a reasonable explanation?" Immediately, everyone present was like a pot of boiling water. Disaster came from the mouth, and rumors spread everywhere. If it was just rumors, it wouldn't be believable. However, Ram Star Plume said it personally, so how could it be false? Who would take the initiative to wear a green hat on their head? In a split second, the martial artists in the square began to discuss. Everyone's gaze quickly swept across the Yu clan and Gong Yang clan. At this time, the patriarchs of various clans came to the side of their respective disciples. The Wuma clan's faces were all covered in black robes. "Patriarch!" A cold voice came from Wu Ma Xiu's throat. Wu Ma Di in front of him laughed and said softly, "The heavens are really helping us. Just watch, the show has just begun. Xiu-er, don't let me down." Chapter 2155. Wu Ma Xiu nodded slightly and looked up. The head of the Yu family, Yu Wugo, had already rushed into the air. Yu Wugo, who looked to be in her 70s or 80s, was graceful and noble, without a single wrinkle on her face. "Gong Yang Wuming, watch your mouth. If you don't know how to speak, I can make you unable to speak forever." As soon as she finished speaking, a vast wind attribute energy burst out from Yu Wugo's body, and a fierce spatial pressure gathered in front of her. Gong Yang Wuming saw that things were not going well, and hurriedly pulled Ram Star Plume back. Whoosh! Above the void, Gong Yang Wuming and Ram Star Plume brushed past each other, creating a large distance between them. Gong Yang Wuming stood up, and his eyes flickered with anger. Why does it feel like the Yu family and the Gongyang family have a grudge for generations? Wang Shangwu asked Shintu Shuangshuang softly. Shintu Shuangshuang casually told Wang Shangwu that Gongyang Wuming had a crush on Grandma Yuwugo since he was young. However, Grandma Yuwugo was as pure as ice, and as beautiful as jade, and as beautiful as a goddess. How could she fancy such a wretched old man? Because of love, when Yun Jing disappeared, Gongyang Wuming made Ram Star Plume turn around to pursue Sister Ning Er. This old man's obsession is a little scary, using his own grandson to take revenge. Wang Shanwu shook his head and laughed. Above the void, Gongyang Wuming restrained his anger and said coldly, Yuwugo, your granddaughter did not know how to behave, and was in the same room with the bastard who injured my grandson. This is an obvious fact. How are you going to explain it? Head of the family, please catch the pair of bastards inside and disqualify them from the competition, Gongyang Wuming said in a hoarse voice, looking at Yun Zhongli. Hearing that, Yuwugo's expression changed, and a ball of anger quickly condensed in her eyes. Gongyang Wuming was really ruthless. Without the competition qualification, Yuning Air could only be surpassed by Ram Star Plume on the cloud list. The original agreement was that if Ram Star Plume surpassed Yuning Air this time, the marriage agreement would be valid. Now that she no longer had the qualifications, there was no turning back. Ning Er had to marry Ram Star Plume. As for Wen Yuan, who had lost the qualifications to participate in the competition because he had injured Ram Star Plume, even if there was a hidden reason, as long as Wen Yuan came out, he would only be killed. Shintu Shuangshuang, Wang Shangwu, and Mu Renjie's faces instantly darkened. At this moment they had no right to speak, so they could only glare at Wuming Gongyang and Ram Star Plume. These two bastards are really despicable, Wang Shangwu growled, his fists clenched tightly, and his killing intent shot out uncontrollably. Above the void, Yuwugo's expression immediately became serious as she looked at Yun Zhongli. Great Patriarch, you've watched Ning Er grow up. You should make the decision. Yuwugo's calm voice slowly drifted out. Yun Zhongli smiled bitterly. He knew what kind of person Yu Ning Er was, but he didn't know what kind of trick Su Yi was playing. If Su Yi came up with some evil idea, Yun Zhongli would have a hard time dealing with it. Then let's open the Moon Palace. In the clear sky, a gentle male voice rang out. All of a sudden, a light blue halo appeared in the air like a miracle. The halo trembled, and a tall young man walked out from the sky. He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. Although he wasn't delicate, he gave off an extremely powerful feeling under his gentle appearance. Everyone in the ancient Cloud Immortal sect knew that this young man was the strongest representative of the younger generation in the entire ancient sect. Yun Hanshin! Boom! Under the mighty power of the heavens, the space trembled rapidly, and a surge of vitality aura shocked everyone present. He's almost at the Origin Ancestor 9th level. This guy is really abnormal. Senior Brother Hanshin is so handsome. How can there be such a perfect person in this world? Sigh. It's a pity that Miss Yunjing can't see it. Senior Brother Hanshin has been in seclusion for many days because of Miss Yunjing's disappearance. Now that he's come out, he's actually so stunning. The top 10 people on the cloud roll all looked fearful. On the contrary, the other martial artists around them looked at him with yearning. Yun Hanshin ignored everyone's gazes, as if he was too familiar with the feeling of being high above and being admired by others. A mysterious light flowed in his eyes, and the light under his feet flew up to the void. Master, junior sister Ning Er is Jing Er's good friend, and we've known each other since we were young. Of course, I believe in her character. Yun Hanshin turned his head and looked at Ram Star Plume. The latter's eyes were obviously flashing with killing intent and anger. As for why the outer sect disciple called Wen Yuan injured you, you can just confront him face to face. I believe that the ancient Cloud Immortal sect wouldn't wrongly accuse a good person. Immediately, everyone present nodded their heads. They all looked at Yun Hanshin with approval and admiration for how he handled the situation. No wonder he was the top person in his generation. With just a few words, he was able to subdue the situation. Looking at the people who kept nodding their heads, Ram Star Plume glanced at Gong Yang Wuming. Gong Yang Wuming's eyes flashed with a trace of viciousness, indicating for him to rest assured. When Yuan must die. The 4 words that came in a low voice calmed Gong Yang Xingyu down. If that's the case, Wugo, go and open the Moon Palace. Yun Zhongli waved his hand, his white eyebrows moving slightly, and his gaze was solemn. No need. The familiar voice of a young man resounded in the air. Then, the door of the Moon Palace opened, and a vast gust of wind surged out like a wave. Swoosh. Suddenly, everyone who heard the sound looked at the source of the sound. Yu Ning-er and Su-yi flew out of the Moon Palace. Everyone looked at Yu Ning-er. Her hair was fluttering, her face was flushed, and her clothes were untidy. On her crimson palace dress, there were a few dried blood flowers, which made her look charming. Grandma! Yu Ning-er swept her hair behind her back and quickly came to Yu Wugo's side. Looking at Yu Ning-er's appearance, everyone present was filled with grief and indignation. Their furious voices resounded in the sky. What happened? Could it be that Yu Wugo, who was also angry, was also stunned by Yu Ning-er's appearance? Her old eyes were filled with anger. Then Yu Ning-er moved to Yu Wugo's side and whispered a few words. Yu Wugo's gaze changed from anger to surprise and then to joy. She looked at Yu Ning-er in disbelief. Everything is fine? There are signs of a breakthrough? Yu Wugo's wrinkled palm landed on Yu Ning-er's body. Then, a strong rebound made Yu Wugo excited. Yu Wugo looked deeply at Su-yi in the distance, then turned to Yun Zhongli and said, Master, when Yuan and Yu Ning-er were in the Moon Palace to heal their injuries, now that the poison in Ning-er's body is gone, it is proof. Chapter 2156. What? Ram Star Plume and Gong Yang Wuming were stunned. Even though they had the snow tobacco at home, it was only a catalyst. Whether it could be cured was still a problem. This kid cured Yu Ning-er's illness in such a short period of time? Not only did he cure her, but Yu Ning also showed signs of a breakthrough? In an instant there was an uproar. Everyone stared at Su-yi as if they were looking at a freak. Who was this young man from the outer sect? How could he have such magical powers? Everyone knew that Yu Ning-er's illness was something that even the Gong Yang family, who was good at medicine, could not cure. How could this young man cure her? Impossible. When Yuan is so powerful? Shintu Shuang's jaw dropped. Time and space seemed to have frozen. How is it impossible? He has always been able to create miracles. Wang Shangwu and Mu Renjie raised their eyebrows at Su-yi as if they were showing off to the crowd. Within the top 10 of the cloud list, Dongfang Yuan, Jing Tianzhan, and the others immediately looked at this unknown young man. Even Yun Hanshin, who had been dazzling just now, lost much of his glory to Su-yi because of this shocking turn of events. Yun Hanshin narrowed his eyes and looked at Su-yi. He was secretly moved. On the high platform, Yun Zhongli called Yu Ning-er over and used his soul power to probe her. He nodded heavily and said softly, That's right. Ning-er's injuries have indeed healed. Impossible. How could it be so simple? Gong Yang Xingyu's face instantly turned ashen, and he roared at Yun Zhongli like a fierce god. So what if she's healed? She's in the same room as Yu Ning-er. She's my daughter-in-law. That's an insult to the Gong Yang family. Gong Yang Wuming sneered. He bent his fingers into a claw and turned his head to aim at Su-yi's throat. The sound of a sinister explosion was heard. Kid, you hurt my grandson and humiliated my family. I want you dead. Gong Yang Wuming roared. Boom. In an instant, the space collapsed inch by inch. Amidst the monstrous blood-red light, an invisible hand descended from the sky and grabbed at Su-yi. In the time it took for sparks to fly off a piece of flint, Gong Yang Wuming's attack was too fast, to the extent that no one could react in time. Gong Yang Wu-ming wants to silence him. Yu Ning cried out. Above the void, the vast handprint caused the entire sky to distort. By the time Yun Zhongli and Yu Wugo yelled, "No!" Gong Yang Wuming's palm had already pierced through space and distorted it. Everyone present was shocked. Their bodies were filled with terror, and their pupils rapidly constricted as they felt the enormous deterrent force of an 8th-level origin domain stage expert. Above the void, Gong Yang Wuming closed in. In the monstrous waves of blood, red light surged, reflecting Gong Yang Wuming's twisted and sinister smile. He knew that Wen Yuan would definitely die. As long as Wen Yuan died, the hatred in his heart could be resolved. Even if Yu Ning-er's injuries were healed, what happened in the cloud supporting ladder could not be verified. The Gong Yang family did not lose face. Swoosh, swoosh. Following closely behind, Yun Zhongli, Yu Wugo, and Shintu Yi's 3 origin chi lights instantly caught up. When they saw the palm descending towards Wen Yuan, the following change caused everyone to cover their mouths. Under everyone's astonished gazes, Su Yi's figure suddenly disappeared between heaven and earth like a ghost. Boom! Boom! The soul shadows overlapped, and under the blood cloud, 4 identical Su-yi stood in the void. Their palms pushed upwards, and they collided with the monstrous waves of blood. The instant the 4 corporeal soul shadows were blasted by the blood-colored palm, their bodies instantly distorted, and they finally exploded on the spot. Bang! After 4 consecutive explosions, terrifying energy swept out. At the same time that the waves of blood disappeared, faint blue ice crystals streaked across the sky. The silent square immediately became extremely silent. The sudden change caused everyone to be stunned on the spot. The change just now was too shocking. Gong Yang Wuming's lightning-fast attack and Wen Yuan's lightning-fast counterattack were enough to make one's heart tremble inexplicably. What were those 4 soul shadows just now? Did that guy Wen Yuan release them? Under Gong Yang Wuming's bombardment, could it be that Wen Yuan still survived? Everyone who witnessed all of this fiercely swallowed their saliva. The head of the Gong Yang family actually tried to kill a young man. How tyrannical was that? How decisive was that? Even if you want to silence someone, you don't have to be so impatient, right? Above the void, a voice quickly pulled everyone back from their shock. Immediately, everyone looked as if they had seen a ghost. They saw Wen Yuan standing on the faint blue ice crystals in the sky. Wen Yuan crossed his arms, and he was not injured at all. "It's you, grandfather. That day, it was him who snatched the snow tobacco. He severely injured my grandson." Recognizing the ice crystals, Ram Star Plume fiercely said to Gong Yang Wuming. Immediately, Gong Yang Wuming knew why Wen Yuan could save Yu Ning. It was because he snatched the snow tobacco. Immediately, his face became even colder. "Brat, you injured my grandson twice. Do you really think my Gong Yang family is easy to bully? Today you won't live." At this time, Yun Zhongli, Yu Wugo, and Shintu Yi quickly arrived in front of Su-yi. The move just now had completely triggered Yun Zhongli's anger. Yun Zhongli had promised Su-yi that he would take good care of him. If not for Su-yi's alertness, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Gong Yang Wuming, I said he will live." Yun Zhongli's figure suddenly stood straight. His long white hair draped over his shoulders, and he stepped in the air in front of Su-yi. It was as if he was connected to heaven and earth. Family head. Yun Zhongli's toughness instantly made Gong Yang Wuming panic, and his face suddenly changed. Then, Yun Zhongli glared at Gong Yang Wuming, and turned around to look at Su-yi. Their eyes met, and Yun Zhongli's aura unconsciously spread out. Instantly catching the change in Yun Zhongli's aura, Su-yi's heart thumped. He was afraid that Yun Zhongli would recognize him, but looking at Yun Zhongli's fleeting gaze, Su Yi felt relieved. Wen Yuan, the Yu family owes you a favor, and we will definitely protect you today. Don't worry. Yu Wugo looked at Su Yi excitedly. She was completely different from the overbearing and ruthless person just now. Of course, everyone present knew that Su Yi had saved Yu Ning. This kindness was equivalent to saving the Yu family from disaster. Not only did he save Yu Ning-er's reputation, but he also protected Yu Wugo's self-esteem. How could Yu Wugo not protect Wen Yuan? Without waiting for Su Yi to speak, Yu Wugo turned to Gong Yang Wuming and shouted in a low voice, "Gong Yang Wuming, you are so mighty. How dare you attack an outer sect disciple who came to participate in the desperate situation of the Desert Sea? You are a disgrace to the ancient Cloud Immortal sect." Yu Wugo snorted coldly. She waved her sleeves, and an awe-inspiring domineering aura instantly spread out. Gong Yang Wuming, Wen Yuan brought Ning-er into the Moon Palace, and we have found out that he was treating her injuries. What else do you have to say now? Yun Zhongli frowned, and a cold light fell on Gong Yang Wuming. Chapter 2157. He sneered and looked at Su Yi coldly. His many years of planning had been destroyed in an instant. Naturally, he would not let this young man off easily. Family Master, the matter of the Moon Palace is temporarily settled. Since the engagement has been set, we will follow the previous agreement. My grandson has surpassed Yu Ning-er's ranking, so the engagement will continue as usual. Yu Wugo was furious, but Yun Zhongli pulled her back. Yun Zhongli gave him a look, as if to say that the engagement could not be cancelled immediately. How could the engagement of the top 3 surnames be cancelled so easily? Immediately after, Gong Yang Wuming's gaze landed on Su Yi and a faint aura shot out from his body. He said coldly, however, "When Yuan injured my son in the Cloud Stairs and a few days ago, he injured my son again. I am not convinced that such a person can participate in the desperate situation of the Black Sea. I am not convinced either. Such a person is not allowed to participate in the desperation of the Dark Sea. Wen Yuan is from the Heavenly Palace. The people of the Heavenly Palace are not good people. Don't think that you are the benefactor of the ancient Cloud Immortal sect just because you saved senior sister Yu Ning. Get out of the ancient Cloud Immortal sect." Some of the inner and outer mansion disciples who were fanning the flames finally found a chance to hurt Su Yi. Naturally, they would not let go of it. Over and over again, Su Yi had touched their goddess. Any disciple would have torn Su Yi into pieces in their hearts. Yun Zhongli and Yu Wugo frowned at the same time. The Gongyang family had grasped the public's mentality very well. Wen Yuan had indeed injured Ram Star Plume. A few days ago, Ram Star Plume was injured, and it could be said that he was not as skilled as others. However, the Cloud Ladder was only a test for the inner mansion from the outer mansion. Su Yi had injured Ram Star Plume again, which was clearly disrespectful to the ancient Cloud Immortal sect. Then, 2 figures flew to the front. They were Su Yi and Lu Ti. Seeing that Yun Zhongli and Yu Wugo stood up for him, Su Yi smiled and said, "Family Master Yun, Senior Yu, this matter started because of me. I appreciate your kindness. I'll deal with it myself." Yu Wugo glanced at Yun Zhongli with an ugly expression. After the latter gave his approval, she retreated to the back in embarrassment. "Ram Star Plume, do you still remember your promise?" Su Yi narrowed his eyes, and a cold light shot out. Upon hearing this, Ram Star Plume's gaze instantly evaded his gaze. Gong Yang Wuming immediately realized that something was amiss. He looked askance and asked, "Grandson, what is the promise? Just say it. As long as you are wronged, Grandpa will support you." Gong Yang Xingyu's expression became gloomy, and then he said in a low voice, "I once made a bet with Wen Yuan. If he can ascend the stairs before me, Then I'll apologize to Wang Shanguo. Standing opposite him, Su Yi smiled as he looked at Ram Star Plume's deflated appearance. He shook his finger and said, I didn't say all of it. Let me remind you. You. Ram Star Plume was anxious to explain, but Su Yi's voice, mixed with Yuanqi, had already drifted throughout the void, as if he was announcing to the world. Ram Star Plume also made a bet with me. If he can't catch up with me after riding his golden-winged black smoke beast, he will have to kneel down and apologize to me in public. Su Yi's voice penetrated the space, and his imposing manner was overbearing. Faintly, a vigorous pressure filled the air, causing everyone present to be shocked. After saying that, Su Yi raised his eyebrows and looked at Ram Star Plume with a burning gaze. He smiled and said, Ram Star Plume, where is your golden-winged black smoke beast? Following Su Yi's question, everyone's gaze fell on Ram Star Plume's face. The latter's burning face instantly turned red. If he can't say it, I will say it for him. At this moment, Yuning and Shintu Shuang also came to Su Yi's side. Shintu Shuang lightly spat, pointed at Ram Star Plume's nose and scolded, This guy has no morals. He couldn't catch up with Wen Yuan, so he rode the golden-winged black smoke beast. He threatened to kill Su Yi to silence him and bury him in the escalator. But even if he caught up, he couldn't beat Wen Yuan and was heavily injured by the golden-winged black smoke beast. In a moment of desperation, Ram Star Plume killed the golden-winged black smoke beast himself. Is that true? After listening to the entire story, Gong Yang Wuming's gaze trembled as he glanced at Ram Star Plume. No, it's not like that. Ram Star Plume fiercely looked at Yuning and Shintu Shuang in front of him, his gaze sinister. Gong Yang Wuming waved his hand and sneered. He looked at Su Yi and said, The golden-winged black smoke beast is a treasured beast that my Gong Yang family has raised for generations. It was injured by its own treasured beast, and it killed it personally. Is this reasonable? You injured my grandson and you want my grandson to kneel and apologize to you. Don't go too far. Then, Gong Yang Wuming heavily patted Ram Star Plume's shoulder, indicating for him to relax. It's as if he's saying, whether it's true or not, Grandpa will help you. A heavy sigh spread through the world. Su Yi and Lu Ti walked forward and looked at Ram Star Plume with pity and sympathy. Su Yi said, Ram Star Plume, no wonder you like to silence people so much. It turns out that you have a grandpa who likes to silence people. However, your ability to be thick-skinned is no match for your grandpa. Yuning and Shintu Shuang immediately laughed and looked at Wen Yuan in amazement. In this world, only this person would dare to talk to Gong Yang Wuming like this. Master Lu Ti, please release the item. Su Yi waved his arm behind him. Lu Ti nodded and threw a crystal into the air. Flowing image stone. Ram Star Plume, who recognized this item, immediately turned pale. When he was about to snatch it, he was stopped by Yuning and Shintu Shuang. Looking at the image in the sky, it was so lifelike that it showed everything that happened on the escalator in full detail. Just as Yuning and Shintu Shuang said, Ram Star Plume wanted to silence people but was killed by Su Yi instead. After learning the truth of the matter, all the martial artists below sucked in a breath of cold air, not daring to speak. This was the person who injured Ram Star Plume and slapped him in the face. Was this outer sect youth going to start a war with the Gongyang family? On the other side, Dongfang Yuan, Wu Ma Xiu, and the others who were in the top 10 of the cloud roll sneered. Yuan Xianfeng, Jing Tianzhan, Yun Hanchen, and the others looked serious. The powerhouses felt an invisible threat from Su Yi. Many deep gazes fell on Su Yi. Such a young man with the strength of a 4th-level origin ancestor could actually kill Ram Star Plume? Anyone in the top 10 who wanted to get a good ranking could not help but be wary of this young man. Gong Yang Wuming, what else do you have to say? Yu Wugo's eyes were suddenly filled with ecstasy. After being threatened by the Gongyang family for such a long time, she could finally hold her head high because of this mysterious young man. Gongyang Wuming's eyes instantly dimmed. His entire finger was embedded in his palm, dripping with blood. Chapter 2158. The truth was right in front of him. What else could he say? Kill him again? Silence him again? His resentful eyes fell on Ram Star Plume. At this time, Ram Star Plume's legs were already weak, and he was sweating profusely. He could not face the needle-like eyes below, and he could not bear to see his wisdom destroyed. Ram Star Plume kept shaking his head, and his pleading eyes fell on his grandfather again. Grandfather. Gongsun Wuming gritted his teeth, and with a look of disappointment, he shouted in a low voice, I don't have such a stupid grandson like you. I don't care about your business anymore. Grandfather. Ram Star Plume wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He heard Su Yi's voice again, as if he was punishing him. Okay, kneel down. Fulfill your promise. Su Yi said lightly. At this time, Wang Shangwu had also come to Su Yi's side. Su Yi pointed at Wang Shangwu, and his eyes were full of hatred as he looked at Ram Star Plume. You've bullied him for 4 whole years. Every single scar on his body was caused by you. All the humiliation he suffered was caused by you. Today, he is standing here with his head held high, and he accepts your apology. This is your honor. Su Yi pressed his palm on Wang Shangwu's shoulder. He could feel that Wang Shangwu's broad body was trembling. If he looked at it from the front, Su Yi would find that Wang Shangwu's bright eyes were already flowing with tears. This moment was a moment of glory. These tears were the tears of the strong. The sound waves shook the sky. Su Yi's words spread to every martial artist present. Their blood froze and their souls throbbed. Whether it was those who bullied Wang Shangwu or those who did not bully Wang Shangwu, they all felt an extreme fear from Su Yi. This kind of soul energy was enough to shake one's soul. Even experts like Yu Ning Shintu Shuang, Yun Zhongli, and Yu Wugo had a slight change in expression. The gazes of all the experts fluctuated. Why was this young man standing up for Wang Shangwu? This kind of deep hatred, perhaps even a blood brother could not compare to this. Ram Star Plume, begin your apology. In the future, Wang Shangwu will definitely become a supreme expert of the 9 heavens and 10 earth. And you, all of you who have bullied him, this is the only time you can admire him. Su Yi's voice was emitted along with his Yuan Qi. It was like the cry of a divine beast, piercing through the clouds and splitting rocks. It was enough to shake the 9 heavens. In the spacious space, numerous ferocious spatial ripples rippled out swiftly, and the deafening sound caused the gazes of everyone present to tremble and become dazed. Qi La. The sound waves gushed out, and as Su Yi strengthened his words one after another, Wang Shangwu's body also became straighter, like a steel plate. This scene Wang Shangwu had wanted to realize countless times. Today, everyone was prostrating at his feet, and he could finally take revenge for all the past grudges. Suddenly, a burst of blazing hot blood in Wang Shangwu's body began to surge to his head, and a ferocious voice was continuously awakening from the depths of his soul. Clenching his fists tightly, his dragon-like arms swelled up high. Golden blood energy lingered around his body, and mysterious runes revolved around him. Wang Shangwu's eyes flashed with the majesty of a desolate war god. In the next second, from Wang Shangwu's body, a ferocious overlord's aura quickly exploded, distorting the space in front of him like a thunderbolt. Wang Shangwu stood upright in the void, and the bloody killing intent in his eyes swept through the world as he looked disdainfully at the world. The vast soul energy around his body gradually turned illusory, and the terrifying aura gave birth to endless illusions. It was too much for the eyes to take in, and it was terrifying and crazy. Directly facing such an undisguised killing intent, Ram Starplume's eyes were even more shocked, but at this time, his body was already frozen, and it was impossible for him to break free. Ram Starplume, apologize. Kneel. A vigorous voice came out of Wang Shangwu's throat. His face was as gloomy as iron, and the killing intent in his golden eyes was awe-inspiring. In the face of Wang Shangwu's violent will, only Su Yi's expression was normal. The others, including Yu Ning and Shintu Shuangshuang, were all surprised. At this time, Wang Shangwu looked extremely strange. There was an indescribable sense of transcendence and dominance, and the supreme feeling of a human emperor appeared on Wang Shangwu's body. There was no doubt about his cultivation, but this vast power could not be hidden. Domineering and powerful, it made people's hearts tremble for no reason, as if he was the ruler of this world. Behind him, Yun Zhongli and Yu Wugo quickly exchanged glances, and Yu Wugo whispered, "This silly boy actually has the tyrannical emperor's war body." Shh. Yun Zhongli's eyebrows also twitched, and he quickly shifted his gaze from Wang Shangwu to Su Yi. Among those present, only he and Su Jingyuan, who had already left, knew Wen Yuan's true identity. Wang Shangwu was pushed out of the Yun family, and Wen Yuan brought Wang Shangwu back. As soon as Wang Shangwu came back, he created the tyrannical emperor's war body? Yun Zhongli's old face trembled slightly, and his dignified face instantly thought of something. Then, his lips moved slightly and he no longer spoke. At this time, Ram Starplume was already dumbfounded, and his eyeballs seemed to have fallen out. He no longer had the slightest intention to resist, and his eyes were full of horror and fear. Enough. Gong Yang Wuming was afraid that Gong Yang Wuming's soul would be injured again, and he would do something that would bring shame to the Gong Yang family again. He immediately rushed up again, and his eyes met with Wang Shangwu's. Immediately, his old soul also palpitated with fear, and in the next second, it spread to his whole body. So strong! How can this silly boy have such a strong soul pressure? Gong Yang Wuming swept his long sleeves, and his eyes shone brightly. An ancient aura instantly rushed out, and he whispered, "Boy, my grandson has been injured by you to this extent, and the Gong Yang family has indeed been disrespectful. I apologize. Is that enough?" Gong Yang Wuming faced Wang Shangwu's fierce soul and shouted indifferently, as if he was apologizing to everyone. "Gong Yang Wuming, I want you to kneel. Your apology is nothing to you." Su Yi's eyes revealed a fierce look, and suddenly, a fierce soul-light pillar, accompanied by an ancient aura, burst out from his body. Su Yi and Wang Shangwu, one on the left and one on the right, fully unleashed their terrifying ancient energy, which landed on Gong Yang Wuming's body. So strong! How can these two people's auras be so strong? I have never seen such terrifying energy before. Below the scene, every expert, including the top 10 on the cloud leaderboard, elders and deacons, was shocked. The two young men's auras were enough to kill any peak origin emperor expert. The fierce aura seemed to be able to devour all souls, and it swept through every corner in front of the rising cloud palace. At this moment, the sky in front of the rising cloud palace shook, and lightning flashed and thunder roared for no reason. Violent winds accompanied the strange phenomenon, and it made everyone tremble. Behind them, Yun Zhongli and Yu Wugo had already protected Yu Ning, Shintu Shuangshuang, and the rest. In the surrounding heaven and earth, Yun Zhongli could not guarantee what would happen next. Chapter 2159. Like a heavenly might descending, energy accompanied by a huge roar, enveloped Gong Yang Wuming's body. Immediately, Gong Yang Wuming's eyes trembled. A sense of intimidation from head to toe made Gong Yang Wuming suddenly feel that he was very small. The aura released by the two youths in front of him was enough to kill heaven and earth. Compared to Gong Yang Wuming, just the pressure alone was enough to crush him. The old Gong Yang Wuming finally could not hold it in. His eyes moved slightly, trembling as he said, "Then what do you think we should do? Shang Wu, you say it." Su Yi's robe shook, the killing intent in his eyes gradually returned to normal. With a cold glint, he looked at Wang Shangwu. Wang Shangwu was the absolute main character of this demonstration. Su Yi naturally handed the initiative to him. Making the Gong Yang family kneel or apologize, it was Su Yi's compensation to Wang Shangwu. Qi La. Following that, a ferocious aura erupted from Wang Shangwu's body. A low, muffled sound instantly exploded around Gong Yang's body. It was as if a series of claps of thunder resounded through the heavens and earth. The circular light wave exploded on Gong Yang Wuming's body. Gong Yang Wuming's shriveled body was instantly buried in the space ripples. Bang bang bang! Countless sonic booms rang out. Everyone present looked at the shaking sky, their hearts beating faster for no reason. At this time, Wang Shangwu's golden eyes exploded with killing intent again, the surrounding space shook again, the sound exploded in front of Rising Cloud Palace. From today onwards, the Gong Yang family and you family no longer have an engagement. I, Wang Shangwu, do not need your apology. 9 heavens 10 earths, the Gong Yang family is not worthy. When the last word fell, Gong Yang Wuming's soul also trembled, his body and face slightly pale. His gaze fell on the powerful thunderclouds that covered the sky. Gong Yang Wuming's mouth trembled. As long as this battle could be quickly settled, he could agree to any condition. He quickly agreed and said, "All right, my Gong Yang family and you family no longer have an engagement. I, Sun Xingyu, have nothing to do with you Ning anymore." As Gong Yang Wuming's miserable and trembling voice fell, Wang Shangwu and Su Yi retracted their auras at the same time. In the next second, Yun Zhongli, Yu Wugo, and Shintu Yi's silhouettes flickered in the air, flying to Su Yi's side. Wang Shangwu, who had returned to normal, panted heavily as he looked at Su Yi. His aura fluctuated slightly, and his eyes were full of fluctuations. He remained silent for a long time. In the end, Wang Shangwu's nose turned red. He was already extremely excited. He said with a trembling voice, "Brother, thank you." Wang Shangwu had been holding back this sentence for too long. The resentment in his heart was almost driving him crazy. Ever since he was young, Su Yi was the devil incarnate of Man City, and he would always follow behind him and make jokes. Suddenly, Su Yi was gone, and Wang Shangwu had to face it alone. The hardships of the past 4 or 5 years could be imagined. Today, Wang Shangwu's emotions were surging, and he was extremely excited. Because he could also look down on the sky and trample all those who had bullied him under his feet in front of all the powerhouses. When Yuan helped this child regain his confidence. With such talent, I'm afraid the Yun family won't be able to keep Wang Shangwu. Yun Zhongli's gaze moved as he sighed softly. Su Yi smiled faintly as he looked at Wang Shangwu's face that was as pale as paper. Naturally, he knew that just now was already Wang Shangwu's limit. If he continued, Wang Shangwu's foundation would be too weak, and his body would also explode. It was already very difficult for Wang Shangwu to be able to do this. You have to thank yourself. You fought for all of this yourself. From now on, I'll climb to the peak of martial arts with you. Su Yi smiled faintly. For a long time, everyone present was stunned on the spot, looking at the sky as if they were petrified. No one would have thought that the top 3 forces of the ancient sects would be forced into such a state by 2 young men. In front of tens of thousands of people, they were domineering and awe-inspiring. Just the scene just now was enough to make people's blood boil and excited. Countless powerhouses looked at Su Yi and Wang Shangwu with a much more solemn gaze. The 2 young men spoke in such a domineering tone. However, they didn't give people a feeling of arrogance at all. The pressure and domineering aura that came from heaven made everyone's heart palpitate. Previously, the inner and outer mansion disciples who hated and envied Su-yi and Su-yi all changed their gazes to different degrees at this moment. When some female martial artists looked at the two of them, they even expressed admiration. High up in the sky, the shock in Yun Zhongli's eyes had yet to fade. However, this was the best time to end it. Looking at the crowd, Yun Zhongli's old and vigorous voice swept across the place again. Everyone's eyes moved. I hereby announce that the Desperation Realm in the Dark Sea will officially open tomorrow. Everyone, go back and prepare. You're not allowed to stay in the Rising Cloud Palace. Everyone present naturally knew that the Desperation Realm would not open today. Let's go. With trembling eyes, Gong Yangwuming glared at Su-yi and Wang Shanwu before leaving the Rising Cloud Palace with Ram's star plume. In front of the crowded Rising Cloud Palace, many people had yet to leave. The domineering scene just now still lingered in their eyes. Dongfang Yuan, Jingtianzhan, Yuan Xianfeng, and the rest of the top 10 on the cloud roll took a deep look at Wen Yuan in the sky before turning around and leaving. Wen Yuan is interesting. Inside the black robe, Wuma Xiu's eyes lit up and landed on Yun Hanchen, who was not far away. At this moment, Yun Hanchen was standing behind Yun Zhongli. A group of Yun family experts had also gathered in front of the Rising Cloud Palace. Su-yi looked around and met Yun Zhongli's eyes across the sky. Soon, they separated. Su-yi muttered in his heart. Could it be that Yun Zhongli really recognized him? If he did, why didn't Yun Zhongli expose him? Since Yun Zhongli did not expose him, Su-yi naturally followed his train of thought and participated in the official Desperation Sea the next day. Let's go. Su-yi took a deep breath and said to Wang Shanwu and Mu Renjie, who were beside him, as he prepared to return to the thatched cottage. He could only take one step at a time and meet Su Wan first. As Yun Jing's father, he must be more concerned about it than him. It seemed that the Yun family's affairs were more complicated than he had thought. One was the Yun family and the other was the Long family. Both of them had extremely deep secret. Wen Yuan. A soft call from behind pulled Su-yi back from his thoughts. Yuning brought Shintu Shuang and flew to him. Shintu Shuang, who had always been forthright, looked at Wang Shanwu and Su-yi again. Both of them were anxious. Wang Shanwu asked in confusion, Sister Shuang, what's the matter? Nothing. Hearing that, Shintu Shuang looked away. No one knew how much of a shock the two of them gave him when he was so close to them just now. Wen Yuan, Grandma said to invite the three of you to stay with the Yu family. Yuning looked at Su-yi gratefully. The man in front of her was as calm as still water. His deep eyes seemed to hide an unfathomable secret. In contrast, Yuning-er's heart wavered. Patriarch Yu? Su-yi looked around. The Yun family members were no longer around, and Yu Wugo had already returned. Yu Wugo was afraid that the other patriarchs would criticize her if she personally came forward to invite them. Hence, she sent Yuning to invite them. Chapter 2160. Wang Shanwu and Mu Renjie looked at Su-yi at the same time. Since Su-yi said to go, the two of them would naturally go as well. Then let's go. Su-yi shrugged his shoulders indifferently. The thatched cottage was too far away from the inner palace. Wang Shanwu had exhausted too much of his vitality and was not suitable for traveling back and forth. Immediately, the few of them returned to the Yu family under Yuning-er's guidance. Yu family, the second most powerful force of the ancient Cloud Immortal sect. After hearing that Yuning-er's injuries had been healed by a young man called Wen Yuan, the entire Yu family was overjoyed. They were just short of loud gongs and drums to celebrate. In a 10,000-year-old ancient house, the willows were smoking. When the night was as cold as water, the bright and clean light of a disk shone on the simple and quiet Yu family. The bone porcelain on the walls was white, and the air was filled with energy threads like jade belt. The blessed Yu family gave people a kind of ethereal beauty. Stepping into the Yu family, Su Yi, Wang Shangwu, and the rest's eyes lit up. The 108 acupuncture points on their bodies involuntarily breathed. Immediately, everyone's eyes revealed a trace of radiance. Su Yi slowly shook his head. His mind was constantly trying to capture the energy threads in the air. In such an extreme cultivation environment, it was no wonder that the Yu family could become the second most powerful force of the ancient sect. Compared to the eastern mountain boundary, it was simply heaven and earth. Following Yu Ning-er's footsteps, the few of them passed through the long corridor and waterside pavilion. Soon, they reached the depths of the Yu family. Once they entered the inner room, their eyes were filled with fragrance. Even the hanging muslin curtains were emitting vigorous energy. Su Yi, who was slightly surprised, quickly scanned the surroundings. If anything here was taken out, it would probably cause martial artists to rush like ducks. Even a simple card was at the middle stage of the black grade. Magnificent and majestic. It's simply a paradise on earth. Mu Renjia's eyes were almost straight as he exclaimed. The Limitless sect was already an undisputed existence in the Limitless continent. However, compared to the Yu family, it was still not small. Wang Shangwu chuckled and said to Mu Renjia, "Brother Renjia, this is not the only paradise on earth in this world. There are many more wonderful things." Su Yi smiled faintly. He naturally knew that Wang Shangwu was talking about his mysterious space. When the mysterious space was mentioned, Su Yi's soul began to tremble slightly. Qi Feihong and the Iron Soulfish did not speak after the second stage, the soul stage. Ling Qianxue also did not make a sound after a short call. Su Yi couldn't help but worry about these three. I have to quickly find a place to spy on them, Su Yi thought. Little brother Shangwu, it seems like you've been to that kind of fairyland? Shintu Shuang chuckled. Yu Ning-er, who was in front, also turned her head. Her beautiful face was suffused with sparkling moonlight as she laughed softly. What Wen Yuan and little brother Shang Wu have experienced is definitely not something we can imagine. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to shine so brilliantly today. Let's go. Grandma is waiting in the hall. After saying that, Yu Ning-er bowed deeply towards Wen Yuan and led the way. When they entered the inner room, Yu Wugo and the rest of the Yu family were already waiting for them. When they saw Wen Yuan and the rest, they stood up. Benefactor. Yu Wugo's figure was graceful. Even though she was already old, there were no traces of age on her face. Her gaze was constantly fluctuating. When Yu Wugo stood up, the rest of the Yu family looked in the direction of the newcomers. They didn't expect that the person who could save the Yu family from this predicament would be so young. Today, Ning-er was humiliated. The Yu family escaped from this predicament all because of Benefactor. Please accept this old woman's bow. Yu Wugo chuckled. Su Yi hurriedly helped Yu Wugo up. He shook his head and said softly, "Family head Yu, this is really fate. I can't accept such a big bow. Please stand up." Yu Wugo's eyes shone. The young man in front of her was neither arrogant nor impatient. He wasn't greedy for merit nor did he act rashly. His calmness that was like the mountains and seas immediately attracted the good feelings of the Yu family. Then, Yu Wugo nodded with a smile and dismissed everyone. Only Yu Wugo, Yu Ning-er, Shin Tu Duo, and Su Yi remained in the inner hall. In the Yu family's inner hall, which had become much more spacious, Yu Wugo sat on the seat of honor with an uncontrollable smile on her face. She looked at Su Yi's group of three with joy. Her kind but deep gaze constantly fell on Su Yi, Wang Shangwu, and Mu Renjia. "Hero, our ancient sect has long heard of you. Seventh in Heavenly Wind, a genius in the history of the boundless world. Not bad." Yu Wugo started with Mu Renjia. Mu Renjia was in fear and trepidation. Then, he smiled respectfully. The Boundless sect had always had dealings with the ancient Cloud Immortal sect. Therefore, Mu Renjia was overjoyed at Yu Wugo's praise. Shang Wu is even more familiar. Ning and Miss Yunjing are like siblings. Wan is Jing Er's younger sister. Shang Wu naturally has a good relationship with my Yu family. Now, Shang Wu has such achievements. This old woman is overjoyed. Yu Wugo looked at Yu Ning with an uncertain expression. The corner of her eyes twitched slightly. Then why did you let Shang Wu live in the thatched hut for 4 years? Su Yi smiled faintly. However, everyone could hear a penetrating chill in his voice. Su Yi was fighting for Wang Shangwu. Immediately, the atmosphere became tense. Yu Ning and Shintu Shuang's eyes flickered. Everyone knew that Wang Shangwu was Su Yi's reverse scale. Wang Shangwu's past, Su Yi would help him get it back. This sentence caused everyone's eyebrows to twitch. Sai Wen Yuan. The ancient sect is an extremely old pool. If you want to move it, it will definitely hurt your tendons and bones. Ning and Shintu Shuang have secretly helped Shang Wu a lot. Yu Wugo's expression changed slightly. Lightly tasting the tea in his hand, Su Yi's gaze instantly turned sharp. His fierce aura circulated like wave. Then I'll go through this Yun family and see what's inside. Will it hurt my tendons and bones? Suddenly, the atmosphere in the large inner hall froze. Everyone's eyes trembled. Yu Wugo looked at the young man's aura that suddenly grew stronger. Her gaze was first stunned for a moment before revealing a trace of splendor. The young man in front of her had the domineering aura of a king with every movement. Yu Wugo, who was as calm as water, couldn't help but admire him. Shang Wu Renjie, are you willing to join the Yu family? Yu Wugo nodded. Immediately, the eyes of everyone present froze. Yu Wugo's sudden words had caused Wang Shangwu to be slightly stunned as well. After Mu Renjie crazily agreed, Yu Wugo looked at Wang Shangwu. With your aptitude, you will naturally be able to cultivate better if you stay in the Yu family. In the future, you will definitely be able to reach the peak of the martial path. This? Unlike Wang Shangwu, who was ecstatic, Wang Shangwu frowned slightly and looked at Su Yi. Su Yi's face was indifferent, as if saying, "You decide for yourself." Wang Shangwu was naturally not a fool. Yu Wugo wanted to use him to trap Su Yi in the Yu family. In the desperate situation of the Black Sea, the three of them would sincerely help Yu Ning. Thinking of this, Wang Shangwu shook his head. He glanced at Yu Ning and the others, who were full of anticipation, and said coldly, "I've already been chased out of the ancient sect and joined the imperial palace. Since I've already joined the sect, I can't just leave. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."